Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Witch King podcast. Today we will be going through something a little bit different. We're going to go through some of the recent events in Scotland. We've got a nice interview lined up for you to listen to from Mr. Stoney for one of his first wins in the GBHL. We'll go through some hobby content as well and some painting stuff, so loads of cool things lined up this time. Hopefully we've got rid of some of the technical issues that went wrong the first time, but stay with us, we're going to get there, alright? As always, I'm joined with my friends here, Dave, Liddle, Mark. How are we all doing?
You're good, yeah.
Hi, pretty class.
Good. Liddle, how are we doing today?
Good.
Nice red
good.
room, mate.
Pink actually.
Good. Actually, it's good to have you to start, because I think we're going to be talking about one of your events that's close to your heart, Last Alliance. Yeah, when that was in June. Do you want to start us off with the Last Alliance event? I think we'll just get straight in here.
Yeah, it's last Saturday in June.
Which was now, depending on when this podcast goes out, it was quite a while ago, really. But
Aye, 6 weeks or something at this point.
yeah, it's just we had to sign off all the contracts to get the podcast up and going, right? Yeah.
Sign it off.
Yeah, so so this is going to be a bit of a different, obviously we're trying things out still. We do have a big sort of interview coming up for Last Alliance where we do cover most of the basic details of the event, but for those, just before we get into this, feel free to jump in, guys, if you want, but it is a two armied 550 points. Christ, that's not a good way to describe it. Basically, you take two armies, good and evil, or good and good, or evil and evil. Effectively, it's a 550 point combo.
Cut it.
Is that all right?
Cut it, Casper.
Aye, it is.
Cut it.
Go for it. Take over, mate.
Two armies, 550 points, either both good or both evil.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Think of it as one big army that splits in two.
Yeah. And it could be like one legion, right? Or it could be multiple legions.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, going with the old like alliance matrix, it doesn't have to be something that would ally. Like you could have army Durin with army of like the Balan kind of thing. Obviously, two things that wouldn't actually go together, but they're not together anyway, so not a big deal.
Yep. And we'll find out what the winners took. We'll go through a bunch of them just now. Thankfully, all of us were at that event, so we've got quite good a bit of detail to go into that. It's a 4-round, one-day event. It's in Stirling, Common Ground Gaming. Brilliant venue, really. Obviously, it's ran by our very own Alan Liddle. I think it was 30 players, is that right? We got this year?
30 players in the end, yeah.
30 players. It's pretty nice. And it was actually, now, what's the wording? It was like the ArdaCon something or something. What was it called?
ArdaCon System Open, which means that the winner qualifies for the ArdaCon Masters, and if the winner is unable to go, that ticket can be passed down, which we'll probably touch on a bit later. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do cover this in the interview a little bit, I think, to be fair. But that's pretty cool. I mean, how did that come about, Liddle? How did what's his face, Clarky, did his message you, or that's pretty cool?
He was begging. He was begging me. No, like I knew it was a thing, and obviously, like David spoke to me about the fact that they could have had it for scouring previous years, but they don't need it as a draw, because they sell out every year. Exactly. So I just pretty much asked the question, filled in a form, and then boom.
Pretty cool. Like, I mean, it's always one of my favourite events, really, but that's just an extra bonus ball. Have you been to ArdaCon, Mark?
No, I've not. It's one of it's sort of the last bucket list thing I've kind of got to go and do as far as SBG is concerned. With it being such a big event that's been going on for so long, and it looks pretty class. But I've missed it the last couple of years. I'm not only missing it this year as well. But hopefully 2026.
I think what they're looking for with this, what they're looking for with the System Open events is just sort of big events in the country that are established. So, like Scouring is one we could have had it, but again, I think it's nicer for another event to benefit from hopefully the added interest and the added draw that System Open can bring. And Last Alliance being around for 5-6 years now, that it made sense for that to be the one to have that mantle. So aye, it's a cool thing.
Certainly, I know a few people talking about it beforehand, saying they were going and gunning for the ArdaCon ticket specifically.
So it seems some interest from across the seas, but sadly that didn't pay out.
Well,
hopefully next year, you never know.
What for, like attendance to the event?
Yeah, it was one of the Dutch guys messaged me about it.
They're cool, man. The Dutch guys that met them at the in Malaga WTC, they were all cool. Like, cool people.
That's right. Did you have any Irish coming over? Because there's been Irish over for Last Alliance in previous years, isn't there?
Mikey, not Mikey, Nicky. Nicky came one
Yeah,
year, didn't
I think Nicky was over last year when I had the 54 people.
That was 2 years ago.
Was that 2 years ago? All right.
It's all been downhill since.
We'll go there.
I knew that'd hit a nerve. Right, anyway, on that
I
note,
might still hold the largest single 90-day event.
surely, I mean,
Certainly in Scotland, without a doubt in Scotland, and maybe overall. That's something I need to look up. But
yeah, Last Alliance 2023, you had what, 54 players, did you say?
54 went down to 51, and then the stand-in bumped it back up to 52.
I mean, that's really cool though for a one-day event.
You can't forget Stanley.
Stanley, then, what a guy. Okay, so moving on. So we'll not go into too much detail about the winner, Andrew Stone, because we've got a lot of detail coming up later on. We've got a cool interview with him. Hopefully we can kind of try and get a bit more interviews for winners going forward. Don't feel bad if I've missed you out, sorry. It's just we're kind of finding our feet with this. I don't know how many interviews we can do, if we're going to be interesting going forward, but I think it's really good. So
sometimes I want to capture some of the painting as well. So
yeah,
and we're playing a little bit of catch up because we're midway through the season. So clearing some of these other events
some of the
out.
winners to take in the painting job of some of the painters.
Well, we do have some painting stuff actually here. We can speak about that. I think going forward with painting, from my own point of view, it's sort of hard to track who won and photos. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. That's all good. In terms of this event, we did get Stoney with the win. We'll go through his list and stuff. But there was two newer players to me. Not that that means anything to me, but we do see fairly new Edward Watt, right? He must be fairly new to the hobby, coming through in second.
I think Ed, the first time
not
I met
new
Ed,
the hobby, no. He's been at Last Alliance the past 3 years now, I think, at least. And he's been to quite a few other events. I know I've seen him at the arena, but him and Ben have been around for quite a few years now. Yeah.
I believe the Edinburgh event a few years ago that Chris ran in Edinburgh, I think that was one of your first podiums, Casper. That was the first event that Ed and his mate Ben Meldrum, they attended that, and since then they've done a couple of events a year at least.
All right. I think they've both podiumed since starting, right? This is the second time.
This is Ed's second podium.
I think Ben, I've seen him podium once.
I think he podiumed. I think
podiumed
Ben
Point of Might
podiumed
this year.
at Point of
No,
Might.
was it this year?
Point of Might,
it was
I believe
Point of
so. But in Ed podiumed, I think I want to say One Last Adventure, the last time it ran, which was 2022, 2023, something like that.
So I may have met him then. It was Chrissy's event in Edinburgh. So
you might well have, yeah.
Anyway, he's as we mentioned, you take two lists. He went for, we'll bring it up here, I've got Radagast Alliance. He went for Radagast, the man himself. Got the Great Eagle, Bjorn and Gwahir. So what are we thinking about that? Mark, bring you in here.
It's interesting seeing him running these lists actually, because I played him last year at Last Alliance, where it was 550. It was the taking two armies both from either good or both from evil, and it's quite similar to the list he brought then, if I remember correctly. When I played him, I was running Arnor, and I played against him using a Gondor list with two Avenger Bolt Throws, which obviously that Realms of Men list is a little bit different from that, but still along the same lines. And I think his other army for that was Eagles. And he's got Radagast Alliance here, obviously a lot less Eagle heavy. He's only got two with Radagast on it, and Gwahir, and then bringing along Bjorn. But clearly he's thought that went reasonably well last time. I don't know where he placed last year, but it certainly served him quite well here. Radagast Alliance is one that's nasty in a lot of matchups. I don't know what the scenarios were and how these armies necessarily fit into that. But Radagast Alliance can be a real headache for basically anybody who's not used to playing against it. And the Realms of Men list to me looks solid as well, especially I don't know how manoeuvring heavy the scenarios were, but if there was plenty where he could sit back and shoot, this two Avenger Bolt Throws is brutal.
I think
you're going to pass to me, and I'm going to try and remember these bloody scenarios, aren't I?
Well,
I wish it was. Stake the Claim.
Yep.
Then it was the
Your modified heirlooms.
Modified Heirlooms, then Escort the Wounded, and then Fog of War.
You're close. Escort the Wounded was game 1, then Modified Heirlooms, then Stake a Claim, then
Right, okay.
Fog of War last.
So, like, actually, on that point, there is a lot. It's weird because a lot of those are actually you need to move. So it's interesting the Realms of Men with the bolt throwers
Yeah,
done so well, really.
I don't imagine he got them in
The
Fog.
important thing that I forgot to mention was the fact that you don't have the say in which army you use in which scenario. It's totally random. So
Yeah.
each
So
player
it's
gets two
not.
cards with two identical cards to shuffle up, place down on the table. Your opponent will flip one, and that's the army you're having to use. So you kind of need to make
Yeah,
sure that both armies can do everything in a way, or just pray.
Yeah. In terms of the Radagast Alliance, I'm slightly unfamiliar with the actual limitations. Did Radagast have to go on an eagle? Is that?
It doesn't have to. You can take him on a sleigh.
Can you?
And
Right.
I imagine you can take him on foot, although it's not something that we typically see. You can't take a horse anymore, sadly. He did lose that.
He doesn't get the staff on the sleigh either, does he? I can't remember.
He gets it on the sleigh. He doesn't
Does
get
he?
it on the eagle.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing with I don't think I've seen anyone take him on the sleigh this edition at all. The eagle definitely seems to be the pick for basically everybody. I mean, you've ran it earlier this year, Dave, right, at Green Hollow, Radagast Alliance. Way higher points.
Yeah, that was 900 points.
I think the Realms of Men. So I remember when all of these sort of lists came out, there's quite a lot of, I don't know if hype's the right word, but Realms of Men's really interesting because it's just super efficient head to toe. You get everything you want, loads of different. I mean, the Kings of Men are super points efficient. They're great. So
yeah,
it's
cool.
strange
to see that after all the other lists, point blank telling you this is what you can take, and then at the end of it, you've got the Realms of Men, who are 5 different kings, which give you access to 5 different factions, and then they can all merge together. It felt like it was
a list.
so out of place from what they were trying to do, but at the end of the day,
it's very different
there is
than
a scene in
anything
the
else in
movie
the game
where they
right
see
now.
the Kings of Men. So it's like we've got models for them. We need them somewhere. This is what we're going to do.
It's a list that I found very interesting because it runs. It's very similar to, or it plays a lot like a lot of other armies that I've had some success with, and it's pretty straightforward with a lot of efficient troops and very efficient heroes. And I think typically the way I've seen most people build it has been something along the lines of 2 kings and a captain, with usually I think the Arnor and the Gondor king as are here, or possibly 3 kings depending on your points level, and just spamming out efficient boys. I've not actually seen many people run it with the Avenger bolt thrower, so it's interesting seeing that do well. I'd be quite interested to see what his matchups were.
Ed and Ben both like their bolt throwers, and that
Yeah,
was
he's been running
a
bolt throwers a long
discussion
time.
because I noticed when they both sent their lists in, I was like, swift reload, and then they just kind of went on a chat back and forth saying how they don't think the point's efficient, and I was like, well, the amount of events that you take it to, and considering that he's both like to take it, one of you should try it out and one at an event, and one of you shouldn't, and then just compare it. And then straight away he just changed his list, and I was like, I didn't mean Last Alliance, but all right, okay.
Dave, what are you going to say, mate?
Yeah, I think because he was on the table next to me game 1. I think Ed was running. I think that Ed was running the Eagles or Last Radagast Alliance game 1 against Fraser. Yeah, it was Fraser was using his Harad army, and I think that was a really tight game. Looking at Longshanks, it was an 11-10 win to Ed, and then after that, the rest of his games were reasonably sort of small win, and then a couple of big wins towards the end. So he's went 4-0 with that, which is cool. Ed's missed out on first place by victory points scored, but
that's a good point. Yeah, so I actually haven't wrote. So did I? So me really. Ed ended up going 4-0, did he, at the event as well?
Ed and Andy both went 4-0, and then it came down to victory points scored on the end to separate them.
That's a shame. I mean, that's cool though. It's really quite rare that happens to a 4-game event, but it's cool.
Usually, a lot of the ones 4-game events, they don't have enough numbers for that to be a thing, but once you're hitting that 30-player mark, it is a possibility. And then Doug, who we're just going to have a look at his list, but Doug went 3 in a draw.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think good time to move on. Yeah, Doug, again, don't shoot me. I'm not massively, you guys, especially being TOs, will be a bit more familiar with Doug. So it's really cool from my point of view, actually, just to see some new names, really. At least new to me. So, well, for what that's worth. But yeah, so Doug, he went with the Reclamation of Sgiliath for one side, Big Bozza on his horse. He's got the banner right, yep. 18 guys, shield, spear, Faramir, and 5 guys, shield and spear. So cool.
All
And he's got
spears.
Return of the King. Yes, a lot, yeah, a lot of redundancy there. And then Return of the King, big Aragorn, Chib, King of the Dead, some King of the Dead stuff, and again, just lots of shields and spears and guys. Yeah, what are we thinking? What's the initial thoughts there?
Think, I mean, I've spoken to Doug a fair bit and seen him at quite a few events. It's really nice to see him podium. He's such a nice guy. Looking at his reclamation of Giliath list, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying it looks bizarre to me. He's
I was
got
thinking the same.
yeah, he's got Boromir capping the White Tower with horse and banner there, and then he's got Faramir running around. Can't give Faramir anything in the list, I don't think. So fair dues. Those two heroes make sense. Maybe not necessarily at those points. I don't know if you have to take Faramir, but those two heroes make a bit of sense. But then he's just got 23 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield and spear.
I mean, that's like, see if you've got like a hangover and you just want to turn your brain off and move, guys. You don't need to worry about like what ranks they're in because they've all got shields, they've all got spears.
That might have been it.
I think that it might just been what models he had. Like, because I would have said it's a no-brainer. You turn a third of them into rangers at minimum, like, and get some speed and bow in
Even
there.
if you want to go with the pure combat, I would still have dropped some of the spears to upgrade someone to a knight of Minas Tirith.
But even with if you're going for like a pure combat route, I mean, a ranger with spear is what, 9 points, and warrior Minas Tirith with a shield and spear is 10. You'd save a point there, and it's only a third of them. They're all on your back line. I don't think you're losing that much for getting reasonable shooting.
And
that is something for sure. But I think the trade off is definitely worth it. But I mean, that said, he's come third.
Yeah. I think
can't fault it. It's off.
So the Reclamation, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm right or wrong, guys, sorry, but is their rule not that Boromir and Faramir can basically split might, isn't it? Or is that
they
top
can
the
share it
walls?
within 3 inches of each other.
They can.
Yeah. So probably wants to do that. Another thing is,
it's very nice getting it for Fog of War because you can use Boromir's fate to protect Faramir. That way, your protection isn't using any fate, stuff like that. I can't recall what army was using when I walked past. No, I do. It was Reclamation. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, he had Reclamation Game 1 and Game 4, I believe.
No, sorry.
Reclamation Game 4, yeah. But he had...
I remember Ed was
up
against Henry Williams, and that was looking very close. I think the game just continued, and that just was the death of Henry. He was in a very
Henry
good position.
actually played 2 of them back to back. He played Doug Game 3 and drew. That was Doug's draw. And then Henry then played Ed on table 2 game, and at the same time Doug was playing Darren McMillan on table 3. And he got a fairly big win in the last game.
Going to the sort of Mark's point, the Reclamation, they can get Rangers, can't they?
They can do, Rangers Gondor.
I think going into this edition, I think that's such a benefit because they're one of the few armies that can still get bows with spears.
You feel it between the different Minas Tirith lists, like the different Minas Tirith lists, the different Gondor themed lists, because you don't get access to the Rangers at all in the actual the army that is called Minas Tirith. And I found, it's good. Well, yeah, exactly. They know outranging. Apparently, they walk into the city and they're never seen again. They just disappear into the ether.
Shed their cloaks, chuck on the armour, shield wall, boys.
Forget how to stand behind each other. But they are But no, you don't. You don't get them the regular Minas Tirith list at all. And I think it's one of the bigger bonuses you get out of Reclamation.
Yeah, it's
Although,
super
did we
huge.
mention their main? I say main. Did we mention their biggest army bonus?
For Frodo.
They've got so
yeah.
they can
Plus one
shout
to
for
win.
Frodo and +1, and you get +1 to wind on all. I think is it everybody or just the warriors?
You definitely
I've
don't
got
shout
here,
for
I can
Frodo.
tell you. No, you don't shout for Frodo. You shout for Gondor.
Right. Okay. Yep.
And yeah, Gondor warriors get +1 to wind within 6 inches
6 inches.
of Boromir,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really nice.
which is really good, especially into. I mean, I don't have any stats to back this up as of yet, but I've certainly seen a lot of Fight 4 all over the place in various tournaments this edition, and that combined with the banner
I think
edging you out against Fight 4 armies, pretty nice.
I used it
the game
against
that
Minas Tirith, and it was brutal. Like just so many warriors of Minas Tirith going down on 5s when it should have been 6s. The turn that I did it.
I feel like the banner actually got a lot of unconsidered hate at the start of the edition. Everyone was whinging about how it was only 4.5, but it hurts. I played against Reclamation, similar to you. Eon was using it, and I had Erebor, so Iron Hills dwarfs, and I've really felt it because the Fight 4, you're just getting hammered off it. Yeah,
One of the
I've
biggest
really
things
struggled using Erebor or Iron Hills into this list for that reason because of the 4.5.
yeah, it sucks. So Return of the King, I haven't mentioned this much. I mean, these guys, when they first came out in this edition, I initially thought rubbish, and then it was the Movement 8 thing that I was like, oh god, they're going to be really good, but it's not really panned out that way, I don't think. What about you
I've still
guys,
yet
Smith?
to try. I've still to try mine out, and I feel like it'll be you witness it and then judge rather than just assuming.
they've seen a little bit of success in
I feel like it's
Scotland
going to
so
be
far
annoying
at
when you don't have the Harbinger of Evil
Greenhall.
and the King of the Dead anymore.
Yeah. No, that's a good point at Green Hollow, yeah.
They came third. Alfredo took them and came third. He took the podium off me in the last game because he's an arse. And I played against them, and I was playing Fornost, and was just. I mean, it's classic playing against ghosts. He's winding me on 4s or whatever it was, and I was really, really, really struggling to put any of the ghosts away. They obviously are unbelievably tough, and I think it definitely has potential as a list. It's not one that I've looked at and thought, yeah, that looks fantastic. But I think it's got legs. It's done reasonably well so far, and that's its second podium this year. I don't think it's turned up anywhere else. The only other time I saw it was Tam Sherlock running it, but he was a stand-in at the time, and it was a bit of an odd list.
I think, yeah, I don't know you guys, but it's just, I think it struggles. I mean, it's 19 models, and I know it's only 550 points, but it doesn't really. It's still their Fight 3, aren't they?
Yeah.
And Fight 3 is just
They go up
trash.
to
You
Fight
get the
4
Fight
within
4
3
near
inches
Aragorn.
of Aragorn, I
Right.
think.
I didn't know that.
But you've lost the banner.
Yeah, you're still right. Like it's being Fight 3 is nightmarish in this
You're not
edition,
gonna get,
especially when they're that expensive. And when they're that expensive, you've also got the option of the Dead Riders. I can't remember what they're called, but the Ghost Cavalry. Got the option of
Riders of
them,
the
but it's Riders of the Dead. That's him. But it's really hard to fit them in at this points level.
Oh, definitely.
When you're
I wouldn't
already down to 19 boys, and they're
And when you've got the
20
movement 8
something
as
points.
well.
Like
not
the fact you have to
necessary.
take the King of the Dead, I understand it, but it is something that you would just probably not even touch due to the fact he doesn't have Harbinger anymore.
Could you imagine if he got a horse? All of a sudden, you'd be super interested in the King of the Dead. He's just, but
Oh, he did get an improvement.
Yeah, he's got a little better.
yeah.
I didn't actually
Yeah.
notice it until I played him. I can't tell you off the top of my head what he's got. An extra wound, maybe. Yeah, I'm not
Also,
sure.
contextually, is maybe a little bit better as well in the new edition, where you've got more big monsters and things that you can one tap running around. I don't know how big a difference that's made for people that have played them. However, there's a lot more. You're seeing more Ents, more Eagles, that kind of thing. Certainly far more than you did last edition.
I think he went up to Fight 6.
Right.
There's
That's a
less.
start.
The removal of axes as well, I think, is a nice little buff for Arm of the Dead, just because people previously could just go and Piercing Strike for free, against them get that little +1 strength boost to win them on 6s and not take any negatives.
Yeah.
That's a good point, but I kind of was about to say there, Dave, that there's so much +1 to wounds running around in the game anyway just now that it just hurts. Like, you know what I mean? They just, with 19 models, and there's a lot of it going around, +2, +3 to wound and things. So I don't know.
Well, I got a very lucky matchup at the last. No, not the last Dundee. I've run out. Yeah, no, it was not. It was the first Dundee of the year. Like, it was my last game, and I was using my Berserker spam, and I got Return of the King, and those ghosties felt the pain. Like, I was just going two-handed everywhere and just chopping them down on 5s. It was glorious. I felt bad for Johnny, he was such a nice guy.
I had a very similar experience the first game at Whitburn when I played Tam, and the list he was playing was the unorthodox, let's say, and he was running about and doing his TO and everything. So it probably maybe wasn't the best test for them, but I was playing Dale against him at the time, and so I've got +1 to wound everywhere and fight 4 and just rinse them.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's nightmare, isn't it? It's funny because actually Dobie, one of our mates, was running him at the start of the edition and he was doing really well, and then he played against Jamie Moore, and like Jamie Moore's been saying all last edition that he wanted to make Gandalf the White like popular again, but he's kind of still trash. But like against Army of the Dead, he's so funny. He's just getting banished like every single turn.
That would have been point of might, I think, because I played him as well. And I was running the Men of the West at the time, and Aragon Heroic Acrocide, and Legolas killed him killed Aragon in turn 2, so he was just left with the Army of the Dead.
Yeah. He was behind me. He was not happy. Anyway, moving on. So that's the list. Well done, Ed. Well done, Doug, and especially well done, Stoney. We will have a good chat with you later on. I think what we'll do is we'll go through these events and then we'll put in the interview with Stoney just while we're running through the list. We'll just stick with this just now.
It's a great, really great to see that podium, because it said they're like that's the first podium for Doug, and it was only a second podium for Ed and the first win for Andy. So yeah, well done, guys. Nice to see.
Brilliant. Another thing we do intend to cover, it's been slightly harder for me getting the information together, but was some of the hobby side of things, the best painted. I believe a familiar name nowadays, Alex Bourdas, took the win. Is that right, Lido?
Yep, he's won 1 or 2 events, for painting. Just a couple.
Someone who's certainly not his first win.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe.
Did you see the pictures? He put up some pictures at the end of last year of his trophy cabinet that was just from last year, and it was insane the amount of painting trophies he'd had from both Scottish events and travelling away to England as well.
Yeah, he's definitely got a bigger trophy cabinet. Right.
So the winning list, Lido, I believe it was this Gondor we're looking at now, right?
Yes, that was the best painted.
Unfortunately, this photo is pretty rubbish, so we can't see the quality too well. You need to get a better one for me, mate.
What you can do is
zoom in.
Got his Facebook.
If you
the quality was rubbish.
If you go on to Off Swords and Paint, it is Alex's hobby page. He doesn't have a photo of this exact army, but he does have a photo of some of the individual models in it, and they are really, really stunning. Some of the characters that I think he painted the Beragond and Denethor and stuff up specifically for Last Alliance, and some of the stuff he'd already done for a previous event, but it's worth giving him a follow if you like to see nicely painted models.
If folk do look at them and think they look good, I know he does take commissions as well, so...
Are you taking commission here? Or you get a middleman? 10% off the mark.
I mean, that goes to the tool YouTube, right? We split that.
Aye,
there's no money.
Split our 10% of £25 for a model.
Yeah, here's Big Bourdas himself. I also got a couple of photos. I mean, there is lots of photos. We can put the links in the description of the event. Some really nice lists. Andrew Kerr's list. Actually, I remembered there. What we'll do is, I wanted to bring up sort of like a wildcard list just for this event, and asked Mr. Liddell just to provide us with one. Went with Andrew Kerr's list, which I can pop up here. It is basically the Last Alliance, right? You don't go through it, Liddell?
No, on you go. You can probably see it better than me.
Well, I played against him, so it's easy for me, right? He took Last Alliance, took both sides of the 550 of the Last Alliance. And when he first told me that, I was like, right, what'd you go for? And he just took all 4 of the heroes. He went Elendil and Elrond on one side, and then he went Gil-galad and help me out. Who else would it be?
Isildur.
And Isildur on the other side.
No,
and then,
no Aristor in there now that he's been chucked in.
no,
I
man,
did ask him that,
that's
but he was wanting to go movie accurate. So fair play.
that's gamey. Well, yeah,
Like,
it's funny.
and
We did play, but like there's so much D5 in the army with like 19 models. It was a bit sad, but it was
Yeah, that's what I
funny.
was thinking looking at this.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah,
that's the exact kind of list that was there for the standing. The exact
yeah.
same hero,
I
like a king in each list, and then obviously the opposite race hero to back them up.
I think Andrew Kerr just takes mental stuff, and it's cool for him. I mean, he
He
takes
does.
Sauron. It's funny
Okay,
because
like
actually he took the
I'm
last
pretty sure
edition.
he
He
was
just
actively going for
eagles,
the top
bears.
team award.
He did a slightly more unhinged version of this actually at that Whitburn event that I mentioned, where I think it was Whitburn, where he brought Last Alliance, and I don't think he brought a single warrior model. I think it was about 550 points, and he just brought all the heroes he could ram into. I'm
No,
not totally
I'm
sure
sure.
which ones that was.
I'm sure it was just Elendil and Elrond.
Was it?
I
I
feel
think
like I
he's done
remember
all the
telling
Last
him that.
Alliance heroes at one point. I might have the event wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I'm sure if he listens to this, he'll jump in and correct me. But
Yeah,
I'm
Definitely
pretty sure
done
he
a
has at
few,
one
and he
point.
likes his big models, big heroes, big monsters, all that sort of
He
good
likes
stuff.
his
Like,
ents. At an
yeah.
event that will be mentioned in a minute, he brought a bunch of dragons.
Well, that could be a good segue there. We've still got the interview for Stoney from Last Alliance coming up, but I think we should move on next to chronologically the next event in the calendar. I've wrote
One week.
Hornburg down here, but I can't remember the actual full title. Was it Defense
called
of the Hornburg?
Defense of the
Yeah,
Hornburg,
yeah.
yeah.
Defense of the
1 week
Hornburg, yeah.
after Last Alliance.
Right, okay, and that was one of our good friends that was running that, Ross Wostenholm, Minnie Woosty, better known as, and Ian McGregor, Eon. They were the TOs of that event. It was a 700-point event. Now, actually, interestingly, this was a 6-round 2-day event at the arena in Falkirk. So fairly standard lists, but it was actually a 6-rounder for a 90-point event. So it was good that they're trying something different there. Got 13 players there, GBHL 90. Remind me, Dave, Mark, Liddle, who used that?
I think it was just me that was for the 4
just Dave.
that was there, so I can talk a bit about it.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do is we'll go into. We'll start with the list because I have
I
that
guess I could
handy
give you
here.
a little bit of run through of the pack first.
Yeah.
So they had a couple of special rules just for a wee bit of flavour, which was nice. Game 1 and Game 2, you had to roll off to either be an attacker or a defender. And if you were an attacker, your deployment zone was, I want to say it was 3 inches bigger than it normally would be. And if you were a defender, your bows could fire 3 inches longer than they normally could. And you got some bonuses to do with like barricades and stuff if your archers were behind barricades. I want to say it was like reroll once to hit or reroll once to wound. Like a small bonus, but a nice enough little bit of flavour. Trying to channel like Defense of the Hornburg, so like from the movies when you've got the Rohan guys like hiding behind the barricades and that sort of stuff and getting sieged by the usurpers. And it was quite cool. They picked scenarios where that would work. So not scenarios where the extra 3-inch deployment was going to take you like into your opponent's board half or something like that. So I think it was the first scenario we played. Oh God, I want to say the first one was just to the death, and then the second one was destroy supplies. So both ones that would typically have 12-inch setups. For the attacker, your 12-inch goes up to 15. But the defenders can get a wee bit extra range on their bows and some rerolls, which could have been quite handy depending on what you were using. And then other than that, it was just like match play guide sort of stuff. So 4 other missions in addition to the 2 that were already picked, going for using the pool system. Although those 2 scenarios that were fixed, we could still see other scenarios from those pools. Could have been rolled later depending on which pool was rolled. So. And then, as you say, 6 games and spread over the 2 days.
It's fairly a rare thing, which is, I mean, I always love a 2-day event. Usually it's probably because you get to stay away somewhere and you get right kind of into it. But it seems that done quite well, and we guess we'll go into the winner straight away. So it wasn't, this one was just obviously a straightforward one list. It wasn't a submit to sort of thing, and it was Mr. Finlay, Ivan Staniforth, who took the win with his Bjornings that he likes to tell people are rubbish just to try and play down what a meta slave he is. But yeah, straightforward Bjorn, 6 Bjornings, 2 with bows, Grimborn, 5 Bjornings, 2 bows. So what do we think of that, guys?
No, nowhere near a meta list. No, definitely not.
Aye, no, just to laugh at that. But this was his first event using Bjornins, and he had sort of commented on them not being very good in this edition. Like he hadn't properly tried them out at all. So I think by the end of it, he might have changed opinion on that. But he did go 5-1 over the course of the event. He lost to Arnor, Conor Kerr's Arnor in Command of Battlefield. And that was game 3. So he was 2-1 after day 1. But then by the end of it, he actually had a rematch with Conor in the last game. But it was in Seize the Prizes. And I think once you can get some prizes onto some bears, that's going to be tough for the Arnor to take them back. But no, I think Bjornins are still pretty good, to be quite honest. He certainly made an absolute mess of my army. Even with I was running Expedition tomorrow, so I had to have quite a number of Fight 5 Khazad cards, and that could work. I mean, it's certainly an improvement on last year, but if they win the fight, they're still killing quite easily, the Bjornins, and the bears are both obviously still super strong.
I mean, they're the exact same as what it did at the end of last edition, except they've now got a terror ability, and obviously Barge has just become stupid.
They've lost the ability to pierce and strike, which is quite important.
Yeah, it is
and
big.
That is quite a big thing in terms
they've got
of
the Burley thing.
I mean,
but
they're still strength 4
yeah.
with Burley, so they didn't exactly need it for the punch home.
Does mean though that in the dwarf matchup that Dave was on the receiving end of, that's a fairly big difference.
It
dying on 5
is.
round 4s, but I mean,
Yeah.
2 dice.
I mean, they're still rolling 2 dice in 5s against dwarves, which is pretty nice. I mean, this list is fairly. I mean, if you have seen a Bjornings list, you've seen them all. Really.
Yeah. You can't really do much. Interestingly, Finlay was talking about it to me. Actually, I was unaware, but against the Eagles, does the scream not work against? So you can still transform and then move as the bear. That was something I was unaware of, a wee quirk. Because obviously when you get screamed at, it stops your movement, but then that's the movement of the untransformed model, and then you could then still transform and move as a bear.
I'd have to read it myself.
Be the way it's written, but that definitely doesn't sound like how it should work.
I would have to read that.
I'd still expect the man Bjorn to have to in his move phase, which he doesn't get because of the screen.
No, but you still cast spells. So if Galadriel still cast spells.
My initial thoughts would be that you still can't 100%. Move because you can still cast spells. Yeah, my thoughts would be you couldn't move, but I need to read up on that. As it is, there wasn't any eagles at the event anyway, so it's not like he's scammed some eagle player.
Yeah, you'd have to see the specific wording on it.
What there was at the event though. With it being 700 points, one thing. So off the 12 players, there was 2 Smaugs. And that made such a huge difference to the matchups. Also there was 2 people running Dale, and one of the Smaugs had to play Dale in the first 2 games, for example. But myself and Finlay were the only 2 players that didn't play a Smaug at all over the weekend. And I'm not sure how his Bjornings would have done against Smaug actually. He doesn't have a huge amount of models if they're being fire breathed, but the Smaug can kill the bears, albeit the bears have got the ability to bear hug them and that sort of stuff. So I think it would have been interesting to see how that would have went if he'd had to play Smaug, especially depending on the missions.
See that play out.
Instead, the Smaugs were just... player event with 2 Smaugs. I mean, I don't think you've got that percentage.
Grimbeorn calling the heroic moves and Bjorn calling the heroic strikes.
Yeah, but Smaug with 20 wounds, he can survive a few hits from those.
How far can you get?
And how many models is he flame breathed off the table before we get into combat as well?
Aye.
it'd been interesting to see if he'd had to play it, because Andrew Kerr, who we mentioned as big fan of Monsters, he was one of the Smaug users, and Stuart Callahan was the other one, but instead they spent quite a bit of time getting kebabbed off Dale when blasted.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Speaking of Dale,
well, yeah. So actually, again, Stoney. Been talking about him a lot recently. Did come second, and it was of Depths of Moria. I didn't want to go into too much detail about this list, to be honest. I mean, it's sort of just kicking ass, really, isn't it? The Balrog, a bunch of goblins. Did you have to play him, Dave?
I played him game 2 in Destroy the Supplies. I was one as 2 losses, actually. He lost to me, and he lost to Chris's Dale that we're about to look at. But my game was super, super tight.
Like, what I love about the fact Stoney with this Balrog is that he ran it last edition as like a proper meme, and then it just happened to be it got mega buffed.
Aye.
You're seeing it everywhere right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I played against it twice at WTC this year.
Really?
It was everywhere there.
I just remember like this.
I got it once.
I was going our game was Destroy the Supplies, and I won 13-12, and it just literally came down to the banners. Like, there was at least 2 turns where I was having to just hope my banner would pass courage test, because it's worth 4 victory points in that mission, whereas breaking is only worth 3. So of course I just don't break him, because I don't do enough wounds to Balrog to break him. Whereas he does break me, and then at least I think it was actually 3 turns of me just hoping that at -1 courage my banner bearer does not run off the table. And he managed to stay alive, thankfully. I had 2 banner bearers, to be fair. One of them did run immediately, and then the other one stuck around for 3 turns of courage tests and allowed me to beat him 13-12. But he's done really well with the other games. Like, when you look at these other results, a couple of really big wins. Like day two he's went 20-0, 18-1, 18-0. So he's proper bounced back.
What a guy. I mean, with the Balrog just kicking ass. Not to spend too much time on that, the other list I wanted to look at was I kind of want to speak about the Dale a little bit, because they were sort of like seen as buy Dale now as soon as Edition came out, but they've not really. I mean, like, I know Fraser runs them, you've got them, Mark, so maybe it's best to ask you. It's good that Stoff managed to get the 3rd. I don't know, like, are they as good as we initially thought? Is it a player skill thing? Is it a matchup thing? Why is this Dale not taking over the Edition like we were promised?
I think they probably aren't as good as they were hyped up to be at the beginning of the edition. However, I think that was nearly impossible to live up to, considering how much chat there was about how strong they're going to be. I think they immediately took a hit when the match play guide came out. That, I think, was a big deal for them. A lot more movement scenarios turned up, and that put a bit more pressure on them, where they can't do that sit back, rinse you with bows, bring you into the deployment zone, and wound you with +1 to wound in combat. They're still very good. You can carry the wind lances about to bring your +1 to wound bubble with you. I think they are still definitely a very strong army, just maybe not quite as nasty as people expect them to be, especially after the match play guides has come out and brought in these new scenarios. I don't know what we've seen with them in Scotland in terms of podiums. I've won an event with them. I don't know if they've had any other tournament wins and what podium rate they've seen, but I mean, I would certainly still rate them very highly.
I mean, there's a lack of blinding light.
Give them the right scenario. Like scenarios.
Yeah, I wouldn't automatically take them to every event. There's some armies that I would be happy to take into basically any event. Dale isn't one of them. But
if you look at I think if you look at Chris's 2 losses, that's quite understandable. The 2 games that he lost game 1 to Connor's Arnor and to the death. Now I think Arnor, with the Malbeth saves and the fact that even with a +1 to wound, you're both wounding each other on 5s, but the Arnor have saves and you don't have saves. Arnor just feel like they'd be a really good counter to Dale.
Fairly similar numbers, and Arnor just don't have anything they really care about you wind lancing that isn't easy to hide.
So you lost that 1-8-1, and then his other loss was to Finlay in Contest of Champions. So yes, Bjornings versus Girion in Contest of Champions. That's
That's
only
sort
going
of
to
a
go one way.
non-game.
Yeah. But the other games, he's won them all fairly easily. To be honest.
I remember seeing the Contest of Champions pop up, and then it was like every big hitter had like a weaker hero. It was just a strange like way it's set up like that. And then for that scenario to pop out, you could just easily go, right, Smaugs won, yep, the Bears will win, Gideon dies both times. It was just a straight up knock down the dominoes, so easy to decide. Again, that just comes down to the scenario that pops out.
Yeah, it's I don't know how you guys feel, but I think it's interesting. There's a lot of overreaction in our community, and we all do it. But I know that the Dale on paper are just so awesome, but they don't. I know Fraser was fed up with them. I remember speaking to him. He was fed up with them. I know Stoff himself saying that he was just sick of playing it. I mean, it's not. It's obviously a play style thing, is to sit there and not really do anything. But they just. I don't.
I'm known to be like the shootiest Scottish person probably, and I did not enjoy playing with them at all.
No, not
I didn't
you.
like it. I don't know. It just felt like it was
They're
just
quite one-dimensional, that's for sure. There's one game plan. There is. Well, that's not totally true.
I'm usually
But
happy with that one game plan, though.
Little
that is my game plan. Like,
yeah.
If you look at your previous shitty army stuff like Defenders of Helm's
Deep,
Deep,
it's just like a clone army. Like every guy done the exact same as the guy next to them. Like usually in my Defenders list, I've usually got elves for the fight 5. I've got the Warriors of Rohan defense 5 bodies to like choose where they get thrown up against. Like maybe
You've
got
also
some
got
loyal guards for the
ArdaCon.
different defense and all the different kind of heroes. Like you've got Gideon who sits behind the Windlands, and then you've just got captains. Like it wasn't exciting.
I think the word had got out a little bit about Smaug, to be quite honest, which probably is why there was 2 deals. I know from speaking to Chris,
definitely, 100%.
The fact that he's like, there's 2 Smaugs going to this event, so I feel like I just need to take my deal. And I'm like,
one thing that's interesting looking at
you're
this,
going to bring it knowing there's 2 Smaugs.
One thing that's quite interesting looking at this list is Stoff. Was this before or after Nations Cup?
This was post Nations Cup. Yeah,
this was after Nations Cup.
No, it's after.
Because that's I just a little kind of quirk of his Nations Cup list that I thought was strange. I was wondering if we'd see it again after it. Was that he brought 3 banners in it, which is strange, but I think was purely to be able to be ahead by 1 banner against everybody else that's taken 2.
He's taken 2,
and he's just taken.
Nations Cup was more. It was the Nations Cup's 800 points, I believe.
It might well have been. I had it in my head it was 700, but that might just be because
it could have been. To be fair, I know that he didn't have the Knights of Dale at Nations Cup because that was before the Armies Middle Earth had came out.
Yeah,
because he'd added a few Knights of Dale in.
I'm trying to think of because I ran it for WTC, and I'm trying to think how much space was in the warbands, because it could also be that, like you fill up the warbands and then you just take a captain and then split the warbands again, or again he's upgraded guys to Knights of Dale. You throw in that 3rd banner just because it saves you chucking in another captain. It might be because of that.
I think it makes sense in a team tournament that you can match yourself and someone that's brought 2 banners. Whereas in a singles tournament, it's just a bit excessive.
Yep. Right, I'm going to move us on. Spoke enough about Dale and banners. Mark makes a great point in terms of, I think the match play guide is a super great point to make, because it's a lot more movement now, isn't it? And it probably just hurt them a little bit, but I'm sure we'll see them come back.
Do you know who could be using a banner?
Ferrando.
Army.
Shut up.
No, just to summarise Hornburg, it was a fun event, and hopefully we see a few more 2-day events at the arena, or just in general, to be honest, because, as you say, chance, not for us, it wasn't a chance to get away from me because it's really close to my house, but it was a good event, ran super smoothly, and yeah, hopefully that sticks around and comes back next year. I'd like to see it run again.
Good to see you all had fun. I was definitely not jealous. Okay, so another event done and in the book. So then moved on to an event in Dundee, which I believe was called. Actually, I wrote Khazad-Dundee, but is this the defence of Khazad-Dundee? I can't remember, to be honest.
I can tell you exactly. It was the Fall of Khazad-Dundee.
The
Fall of Khazad-Dundee.
Fall of Khazad-Dundee, which was hosted by Duncan Peacock. It was a 3-round one-day event this time in the venue Kingdom of Airsoft. It was, I'm sure maybe you can tell me why, but the 777-point event. 28 players, GBHL 90, which quite a fair few of them, but it's good to see a whole different range of podium winners here. I believe, oh yeah, Mark, you were there as well. So we had Mark and Dave. How did you get on? Did you? Well, we'll get into the list shortly, but how was the event for you guys? Mark,
you want to go first, Mark?
Yeah, can do. I thought it was great. It was those ones up at the Kingdom of Airsoft. I think it's also called Saltar Games.
All right, Saltar Games is the game store, and Kingdom Airsoft's like their old business.
If ever people see events around there, I would highly recommend going to them. I've only been to, I think I've been to 3. They've basically always been very high quality events. The venue's fantastic. The terrain's really good. I think they've got a guy there that 3D prints and builds a lot of boards. Really high quality stuff. I think Duncan is very enthusiastic and very good TO. Really enjoyable event, and everybody there was sound. Sadly, it was only a 3-game event, which was maybe my only criticism of it. I think 3-game events have a tendency to feel slightly unresolved. And it meant that I only got to play against 3 people, but of the 3 people that I played against, everybody was really sound. And I think we'll see a little bit of what I'm on about 3-game events feeling a little bit unresolved when we look at the podium, because I think all of them were undefeated.
Dave, how'd you get on?
Yeah, I just really sort of echo Mark's thoughts there, and that like one of the things I really like about the Dundee events is it feels like they're always improving the venue. Like I think you've got a picture of what the venue looks like now, but for people who've been to events previously, you can see that they've done like just a whole bunch of upgrades to the venue itself, to the tables. So Daniel Cruikshanks provides all of the terrain on behalf, I think it's the Teesside Taters is the gaming club that they're involved in, with Duncan as well. And yeah, they just seem to always be striving to improve the events, which is really cool. I actually have it sitting next to me as we all got like a goodie bag here, which we're all like, they've all got their own little design, and inside them there's just like a bunch of objective markers and stuff as well, like these little things here for your might, will, and fate, and there's a couple of objective markers and wee bag of sweets and that sort of stuff, which is cool. So good events, and nice to see another area of the country where community seems to be thriving, because 28 players there, but I know that there was quite a few local guys who are local to Dundee and play there as their regular venue, and there was a few people who travelled from further north, from like Aberdeen and stuff, so a bit of different field, as well as a few of the tournament regulars that have travelled up, but it's nice to see that going from strength to strength, and I think that he's got another event coming up later in the year, which I'd expect to probably get similar numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever heard good things about the terrain and stuff from that there, which is dead cool. Which we'll come on to. We'll put some photos up here as well. I think we'll get into the lists. We have some names I'm unfamiliar with again, so either I'm completely unfamiliar or there's been a lot of new blood coming on the scene and they're doing really well, which is really cool to see. I believe Mr. Daniel Walker took first. Now, Dave, you are the master of this. Would this be his first podium, his first win, probably?
Yeah, so you're right on this case that these guys are both a bit newer, and two of the people on the podiums are a bit newer. And yeah, Danny, I think, started, certainly his first tournament was last year, I believe, at one of the ones in Dundee, I think. But this is his first podium. And to get that first podium as a win is like a great thing. So well done to Danny. And I think it's his brother is one of the other podium people as well.
Oh, I just noticed the surname. Right, okay, we'll start with Daniel. Daniel Walker, he went with the Battle of Fornost. He has Earner, Knight with Banners, 3 Knights of Lance, 8 Warriors of Shield, 3 Warriors of Bow, Corfindale with a banner, 9 Elf Shield and Spear, 1 Elf with a Shield, Kurdan, which is spicy, I like that a lot, 5 Elves with a bow. I know I'm going to go to Mark here because I believe you run Fornos fairly often. Is that right?
I've had a bit of experience with them. I ran them towards the end of last edition, and then I used them at Green Hollow this year, which was the first 100 in Scotland. I like them, and I'm very interested. I'm glad to see him running Kierdan because he's a model that I really enjoyed using, and I think sometimes is a little bit overlooked. I think he's now the only caster in the game as of the new edition, that has the ability to not take models out of combat. And with his call wins now that Sorcerer's Blast has changed. Which gives him an interesting little niche, which is quite fun to play with. I don't know how much effect that had for him at Dundee. I didn't get the chance to play him, but no, I think I think Fornos a very solid list. Fight 5, defense 6 line with 2 very nasty heroes in it, and a bit of magic support can't really go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Lido, what's your thoughts on this list? You like your elves?
What about humans though, eh? Come on. No, it's not something I've really looked at all because I don't own the. How is it you say his name? Erner?
Arner.
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 Sure. that guy. I don't have him.
Yeah.
I've got the other, like the elf parts of it, but I've not actually paid that much attention to Círdan this edition. I mean, or Glorfindel, but I mean, Glorfindel is still Glorfindel, but Fight 8.
A bit better, yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, obviously, he's done well enough to win his first event with it, which is really cool. Did you end up playing him, Dave? Because a bit of a spoiler, but our own Dave Reed came second here. Did you?
No, so as Mark touched on, like at free game events, it's kind of ends up being the case where
not.
all three of us on the podium all went 3-0. So I didn't play Danny, but I knew that the position I was in going into the final game, I had a look at the victory points and I was like, I'm pretty much playing for second here because Danny's VPs were like insane. And when we look at like, he actually scored 55 VPs out of possible 60, only conceded 3.
Jeez.
So yeah, they're like margin of victory plus 52, and I'd had like a dead tight first game, and I was like, I'm just no catching this here at all. So I'm gonna hope that there's a draw on table 1, and hopefully I can sneak into first place. But no, Danny went and won 20-0, so like yeah, fair play there.
Yeah.
Very impressive outing.
I was following on Longshanks and I noticed that. I was like, that's going to be hard to catch that.
Well, on that note, Mr. Reed, you did actually go for the better version, in my opinion, of Khazad-Dûm. You've ditched the what's the other legion you keep taking?
Reclamation of Moria.
Yeah. Well, you took Durin this time. Durin, Dwarf King, Captain. What was your thoughts there? Is this sort of yeah,
I like it. Yeah, I mean, in the interview with Andy that's coming up, I'll probably touch a bit more on my thoughts on Khazad-Dûm just in general. But I like the army bonuses. This was actually the first time I'd got to use the new mirrors and stuff, which are cool. They weren't the most useful thing in the world, just because the missions that we played weren't especially shooty, but they did deny my opponent the first game a few shots, like because you're -1 to hit if you're within 6 inches. 777 felt like enough points to be able to afford Durin and have a lot of models. So like I had 43 models, but I also had Durin. And having Durin was like proper clutch because in the games that I played against another Fornost army, actually, game 1. Not Danny Walker, but was one of the newer guys from Aberdeen who travelled down for it. And he was using Fornost, and Durin just fought Glorfindel for the entire game and never won a combat, which sounds a bit rubbish, but he kept Glorfindel occupied and also did not give away my leader points. He did get wounded, but yeah, there's not that many models that can fight Glorfindel for an entire battle and not come out dead. So that was handy. And then my second game, I played against Stoff, like Chris Murphy, and Glorfindel was able to go toe-to-toe with Foreign and kill... not Glorfindel, sorry. Durin was able to go toe-to-toe with Foreign and kill him. And I just don't think I'd have been able to do that if I was running... maybe just running like a Dwarf King as my general, or one of the sort of lesser heroes. So Durin was good. Army, just really solid. Like 43 models outnumbered every army that I fought. And I would say had better quality of troops on the whole. I mean, the Fornost army has some elves and stuff which are good, but like... yeah, I've had 14 Khazad in there at Fight 5, and yeah, just a nice mixed arms Khazad list. But no, enjoying it. Liking what they've done with the army.
On a side note, Can you destroy them, or
Yeah, you can destroy them in the same way you destroy a supply and destroy the supplies. You just move into base
like
contact with them.
a war machine kind of thing?
Yeah, that's
Right.
exactly like that. Yeah.
So you 3-0, Daniel 3-0, and then third place. Then you believe is this Daniel's brother, Alex Walker?
Yeah, I think it is, and I believe it's his very first event, certainly first GBHL event.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I've not
managing
seen
to
him
get on the podium
at an event before.
is on his first event is fantastic.
Just
Like, and
slaps
he
the
did,
Mimic war leader down and then just kills things. It's easy, isn't it?
and he beat a couple of pretty good players as well. I don't know if you want to mention your game, Mark.
Yeah, I got clapped off him in my first game, which was a bit sad. I'd brought a slightly unorthodox in the West list where I just brought all heroes and to see what I could do. It looked like a laugh, and I thought it could in the scenarios actually do reasonably well if I could get past the first scenario. Turns out I could not. We were playing, I think Stake the Claim it's called.
Yeah,
Game
Stake
one
a
was
Claim.
Stake a Claim, yeah.
Yeah, which one of the new scenarios is the one where you go and you sit on a point and you accumulate, I think they're called fortification points, and the person with most of them at the end gets an amount of VPs depending on how many they have compared to their opponent.
Yeah, I really
Played
like
that
it.
against this Mimic list, and unfortunately I got mimicked quite hard. He ran over a lot of big scary heroes who didn't do big scary things as I hoped they would. But the list is, yeah, I mean, it's the list that very much it operates entirely around that Mimic, and it's a very very scary thing to have to deal with. He ran into all my heroes and and ruined their day, which was unfortunate. But the guy was really really sound throughout the whole game. Really, really liked him, and to see him get a podium in his first tournament's fantastic. I can only think of one or two other instances of people getting a podium in the first ever GBHL event, so that's pretty class.
Just for the audio listeners, in case you guys are listening while you're driving or whatever, just to run through this list quickly, it's Mimic War Leader. It's full Harad. Then he's got 10 Harads of bows, 1 warrior with a warhorn, which is interesting. That's cool. He's got the Harad Room Taskmaster, 5 bows, 5 raiders of war spears, 3 warriors, spears, and a chieftain leading 12 guys with spears. Basically, a mimic in guys for the Taskmasters. It's cool to see it do well.
Yeah. Well, the other missions after Stake a Claim, the other missions were Treasure Hoard, which is one of the newer ones where you have to pick up. You get like sort of 3 objectives on each side that you can pick up, and there's a lot of points for holding those objectives. But the last game was Lords of Battle, and I think that
This list loved.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that list absolutely loves Lords of Battle. He played against Stuart Collette's Depths of Moria in Lords of Battle in the final game. So Balrog and a bunch of goblins, but a bunch of goblins that got trampled by a big scary elephant, and that just puts you really high up the kill count on Lords of Battle.
How did he play game 2? Because beating Stuart as well. Stuart's a player that's had a lot of success at GBHL events as well.
Let me see. Game 2, he played against I think this guy Chris Kyle, who came down from. I don't know if he stays in Keith, but certainly the only events that I've seen him before are at those sort of Keith Elgin style events. So I assume he stays up somewhere in the North Scotland.
Yeah, I think Chris came second or third at the Mori event.
I think he did, yeah. So he's played against a bunch of 3 people who've had a bit of success, and came out with 3 wins, which is
Good
very
stuff.
cool.
And give me a second.
I know that.
Well, yeah. Like I say, we'll try and get as many of these winners as we can on for interviews. If Daniel and Alex, we could do a combo, the brothers combo. Won't get that very often to come and chat about how you got on. It'd be pretty cool. Like
I know
say,
they are interested. I was going to say, I know they're interested in going to a few more events because Alex has been messaging me quite a bit about some tickets for upcoming events and stuff that are coming on. So hopefully we'll see a bit more of them as the year goes on.
Cool.
He was second. We came second.
Oh, Chris Kyle, what do you mean?
Yeah.
At Mori. Yeah.
Cool. That was another event in the bag. Dundee. I actually had a ticket to go. Unfortunately, couldn't go last minute, but I would love to go. It's heard nothing but good things. I'll put links to the events in the page here. Terrain looks class. Guys say the event looks class. So it's good news to hear.
Yeah. I think they've got some tickets on sale for their next event, which is in September. So still a fair bit of notice if people are listening and want to check that out.
Good. When is that? Did you say
I'm not sure how
September?
many tickets are away.
September.
But
I think it's September 20th is when it is.
yes, Saturday the 20th of September. And the last I checked, a third of the tickets were away.
I have one of them certainly. So
Yes, likewise.
On that note, on future and past and present, I think this is going to be a good point then. So that's just sort of covered up to today's day of recording most of the events that have been carried out. I'm going to set your minds back, if you can, just to mention to the last Alliance, which was just at the end of June. This is the first interview we've done with Andy Stone, myself and Dave. We will in the future maybe try and shorten these a bit, but I think we've got a really good interview here. I'm going to just drop that in just now. We are sitting here with Andrew Stone, fresh off the back of his, I was going to say his first GBHL win at the last Alliance in Stirling just a couple of weeks back, but it wasn't actually your first win.
No, it wasn't. It was my first solo win though. It was a doubles tournament I won with Ian last year, so close enough.
Ian carrying you, or did you carry him?
So yeah.
Sounds about right, mate. Yeah, we just had you on. Like I say, it's maybe your first solo win. It's our first episode, perhaps interview of Witch King podcast. So delighted to have you on. And really, I just kind of wanted to talk to you about your experiences. It was a 4-game event. 2 armies, wasn't it? 550 points,
Yep.
good and evil. Guess what did you end up taking then? What was your and why? I guess.
So what I ended up taking was I took Rangers and Mirkwood, which mainly because I had the models and it's a list I've used at sort of lower points before. So that was just Leggy, Tariel, and 24 Rangers, nice and simple. And then my second list was Kingdom of Khazad-Dundee, which handily the new Armies book, etc., came out just before the event, so we could use them. So for that, I took during a Dwarf King, about 10 Castle Guards, 8 Dwarfs with Shield, 1 with a banner, and then 4 or 5 with bow, I think, something around like that.
That's cool. I mean, did you find that? I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm familiar-ish with Khazad-Dundee. Dave will be the expert there. To be honest,
could say that.
What's your initial instinct on that sort of list, then, Dave? I mean, you've played them as long as I can remember, really.
I think Khazad-Dundee are taking a massive boost with the new edition, which is great. I mean, I've always loved them as an army, but I think that they are just better in this new edition than they were. I think Durin at 550 is a really interesting choice for Andy, though.
Yeah, the reason I took him
because he's expensive.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have said you're maybe better at that point, so I would take a couple of kings than just hoard out on guys, but because it was 550, I knew I was going to run into like Eagles more than likely, and with him going up to fight 7 during, and now also the fact he can't be rendered, I think he's pretty good at dealing with big monsters. He's a bit more of a roadblock for them, as opposed to last edition where, you know, you just lose a fight, get rendered by an eagle, and take 2 wounds, like minimum. So that was the reasoning behind that. And I hadn't used him in a while because obviously the new edition, just wanted to crack him out.
Aye. It's always cool to see him on the table, and I think actually at 550, there's certain points values when certain heroes can come into play, and at 500 it pretty much rounds out nicely that double king list that you mentioned. Like you get 2 kings, 2 full warbands pretty much at 500, so at 550, what else you going to add in? Like, you have to drop your model count a little bit, but aye, there is a case, and I think you make a good case there against the Eagles that he's tying those fights against the regular Eagles, and if you trap them, they're going to die.
Yeah, and obviously.
So do you get the mirrors then? Is that part of that list? I've not. Again, I've heard about these mirrors, and I know you get VPs, but what can you speak about them a bit?
Yeah, so they're 2 40mm markers you put down after deployment. I think it is. Dave can jump in and correct me if that's wrong. And they give.
No, that's right.
They give orcs, goblins, and urukais within, I think it's 6 inches -1 courage. They give any dwarfs within the 6-inch range, they take a -1 for like shooting attacks hitting them, and they also count as being in daylight for if there's any scenarios at night. And you can, I think they act like objective markers, and you can like overlap them, etc. But if a model spends a whole turn in base contact with them, they can remove them from the board.
All right.
Yeah, just in the same way as a supply marker. Yeah, it's orcs, goblins, and models with a Cave Dweller
There
special
we
rule.
go.
They get the -1 courage, so it would affect anything like, I guess the spiders and that. If they get the Cave Dweller, anything with Cave Dweller
That is
anyway,
an arrow goblin.
gets the -1 courage. And yeah, but I think that -1 shooting thing is really big because it can flip some shooting matchups, especially with Dwarf Rangers now being 3+ shoot value, 24-inch range, strength 3. If you're suddenly being shot back, say you're fighting an elf army, like that elf army shooting you back on 4s, and it can be really big.
Yeah.
And if all else fails, you just use them to block as a blocker. Like that's a wee bit of terrain. You can just maybe create a choke point off them or something like that.
I don't know why I've totally misunderstood. I thought that there was the sort of like you know how with the if you keep like Frodo, Sam, and Gollum alive, you get VPs at the end. So there's nothing like that with the mirrors, is there? It's just it's like
I think you might
I was talking
be
rubbish.
mistaking it for Reclamation of Moria, which is the other kind of Khazad-Dûm-like list. It's the Balin list. That's one has a couple of bonus VPs if you control more objectives at the end of the game. Any mission that has objectives in it, if you control more of them at the end of the game, your opponent, you get a bonus 2 VPs. That's the list I was running that list, but it does give up a lot of things like the banner reroll for Khazad-Dûm. It gives up the mirrors and the reroll ones in combat, all of which are nice army bonuses.
I was going to ask, and then what list you preferred, but I mean, spoilers, you kind of went and won the event, so I guess, do you want to talk us through your sort of round 1 to 4 matchups then, anything, how'd you get on?
I mean, the event is good. Last Light is always good. It's one I've enjoyed even back when the very first one I went to when it was doubles. But obviously now it's sort of evolved into a singles event where you take two lists. Lidl always puts on a good event. Always gives out a lot of prizes. Although the last 2 years I've been stiffed in the raffle because last year I won most sporting, which means I was eligible to win something in the raffle, and then was the first name picked out of the hat. So, that's something they could probably change just for my benefit. But but he does a raffle at the end of each event. Last Alliance, sorry. For anyone who's not won, like is on a podium or hasn't won best sporting or best painted. And both years I've won something. Obviously, were best sporting last year and was first this year. And both times my name has been picked out in the raffle prize, and I've been ineligible for it. So yeah.
You can't complain. You're going away with sporting.
No, exactly. Yeah, can't really complain. Yeah. So yeah, my first game. Yes.
Charlie McFarlane.
So he was wasn't new to the game, he was telling me, but he was new to the sort of tournament scene. I think he said he was based in Glasgow. Really nice guy. Was quite funny because we turned up, obviously started introducing myself to him. Asked him like what 2 lists have you brought, and he had brought Rangers of Mirkwood and Kingdom of Khazad-Dûm as well. So there was a chance we were going to be playing a better matchup, which is what happened. We both ended up picking up Rangers of Mirkwood as the 2 lists. So yeah, his build was slightly different. He had only Legolas and had 3 of the dwarfs. I can't remember which 3 it was. It was Gloin, Balin, and one of the other ones. So yeah, we started off that game a wee bit of shooting. Obviously, both got elven cloaks, so it became a bit difficult. The one thing that swung the game was near the start. He hadn't left his Legolas behind cover, and my Legolas took 3 shots, hit all 3 of them, and I think I'd done 2 wounds, and I spent like 2 of my might to do a third one, which meant he had to burn all of his fate, all of his might, to leave himself on 1 wound. Which is a bit of a sore one, and then just meant that I could just keep my Legolas a bit safer. I picked up my wounded and sort of took them all to one side. The side he had put the dwarfs on to try. He had the 3 dwarfs trying to carry one of his wounded off the table. So I just put my whole army on that side while bringing the other 2 over to meet the one that was on that side, and then just slowly, shot the dwarfs to death, and then got Tariel in and killed a couple of them, and then eventually got my wounded off the table. He had one last sort of like Hail Mary to try and stop me getting my last wounded, I think it was, off the board, and his Legolas had been terrible at hitting like the whole game. So he rolled his 3 shots to hit the one person who was holding the wounded in the sort of escape zone. And he rolled 3 2s, and he was like, "Oh, thank God!" He's like, "I've hit something. And I was like, oh, it's like you hit on 3s because I've got an elven cloak. Yeah, so
Elven
that was a
cloak,
bit of a sore
yeah.
one for him. But yeah, really nice guy. Yeah, a really good game.
I suppose we should say, so that was the Scott of the Wounded. So this was one of the, it feels like it was one of the first events in Scotland that was using the new scenarios.
I think it was, yeah.
It was, yeah, the
so I thought-
very first one. It was the second one to use the Armies Middle Earth book, but the first one using the Match Play Guide.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sort of learning these new scenarios for people, but in general, Escort the Wounded sort of move your objective markers to their side of the boards, right, and get them to the corners. That's a very simple way of putting it, but it's sort of like that, right? And the other thing, just to mention, so you mentioned that how the matchups are done. It was weird, wasn't it? Like all things little were quirky. There was like cards where we had to present your opponent with a card that had your list written on it, and they kind of like drew your card. So it could have been a mirror
so we
matchup,
could have had a
right?
mirror
It's
matchup. You're
just the way
given
it
4
fell.
cards with your army list on it. So 2 would have been for me, Khazad-Dûm, 2 would have been Rangers of Mirkwood. The start of each game, your opponent, you put them face down. Your opponent picks one. That's the list you're using, and you obviously do the same for your opponent. So that just means that you're going to get to use your list in 2 of the games, 2 of the 4 games. You just don't know what order you're going to get to use them in.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of like nuance to that, isn't there? Because there are certain lists. I mean, we'll come on to it, but I mean, specifically, there's eagles going around. There are specific scenarios you really do not want to play eagles on.
Yeah,
Probably Scott the Wounded's a good
Definitely,
example of that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's worth calling out as well is that it was a VP scored tiebreaker rather than a VP diff. And I think that certainly changes how you play Escort the Wounded, because it really doesn't matter too much if your opponent's going to get a couple of their wounded markers off, as long as you're getting more than them. And obviously, I see was it 18-9 you won?
Yeah, so I got that was
you gave up
that was maximum VPs I could score, because I think it was 2 banner VPs in the scenario, which obviously I don't have a banner. So yeah.
Aye, so it's about really maximising your VPs, and I think like if you scroll further up, you see like in my game I won 2014, and in a VP diff tournament, 2014's not the best start in the world, but in a VP scored tournament, you've got the maximum VPs there, so it definitely changes the approach, I think, as to how you look into that mission.
Using eagles as well,
nice.
as we were just saying.
I was using eagles, I was one of those dirty eagle users, and I did get them for Escort the Wounded, which was very much where I wanted them.
I'm not going to lie, I was rooting for anyone that wasn't using monsters, because there's at least one Fangorn, which you played. Oh, spoiler alerts, I think, Stoney. You played, was it?
Yeah, I played Fangorn and I played eagles as well, actually. But so.
Alright, so game 2 then. So that was game 1, easy dub, right? And then easy game 2. Where did that
table
take
2
you?
was at the top. Me and Dave were both up there. Yeah.
So
yeah, played. Yeah, so this was the custom scenario that Lidl's done the last 2 years, I think. It's a sort of modified version of Heirlooms of Ages Past, where there's basically 6 heirlooms, and the way you pick them up is each heirloom's numbered. You've got to roll a d6. If you roll the number on the heirloom, you get to pick it up, and then the next turn, you get a plus or minus to the dice roll, basically. So you're more likely to pick up after the first turn. And it's Maelstrom deployment as well, similar to normal heirlooms. So yeah, this one, Stuart was using not a Muster of Isengard. Muster of Isengard list. He just had Saruman, Grima, a troll, Isengard troll drummer, like a banner, 4 pikes, and the rest berserkers.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I played them as well.
Then
that's exactly.
I got my Khazad-Dûm drawn out for this one. So I thought this was quite a good matchup for me, because the big selling point of his berserkers obviously being the fight 5-2 attacks. Going into like a Khazad Guard, they're now tied fight value. I get to roll as many dice because of the army bonus. I can reroll mine if I'm losing. If he doesn't two-hand, he's wounding me on 6s and I'm wounding him on 5s. So like eventually I will just, win that war of attrition. I also think I had more Khazad Guard than he had Berserkers as well, which obviously helped.
Potentially a sticky one, that right? Because they can chew you up big time if the rolling goes bad. I mean, I know kind of the story of all these Isengard lists now. They hit so hard, but
I think
kind of went your way, did it?
Yeah, I mean, like I think
that the
Fight 5 tie-in, yeah, like Dave was just about to say, and I think the fact that you've all got the pseudo banner basically everywhere is a big help as well.
Yeah, that's one of the other things we can touch on in the Khazad-Dûm, the army bonus, is if you roll less dice in a fight, you get a reroll, like army battlefield wide.
Yeah.
So if a Khazad Guard goes into a Berserker, that Berserker rolls 2 dice, you're only rolling 1, you're going to get a reroll.
Yeah.
So even just one Khazad Guard can stand up to a Berserker quite well, but you have a lot more numbers because of the fact he's having to pay for Saruman.
Yeah.
And he's paid for a troll as well.
Yeah, and he's paid for the troll with the drum. So yeah, that game, I think we came on. I think I picked up 2 or 3 of the heirlooms pretty quickly. He picked up 2. He sort of left 1 out onto the side. I think he didn't want to go out for it because I'd left like my 4 dwarf archers able to take pot shots at it, and the only person he had who was fast enough to get out to it was Saruman. So obviously he was a bit reluctant to do that. And we just sort of had a mash in the middle almost. I wasn't calling many heroic actions because he had Grima like obviously right next to Durin, so I just saved the might for winning combats if I needed them or putting wounds through. Because I didn't really need to strike apart from against the troll. But even then, by that point, I think I was happy to just take the 50-50 if it came to that. And then he got to a position where he didn't have a lot of models left. He had to try and screen Saruman off as long as he could because he was holding one of the heirlooms and he's obviously his leader. So he actually had to, towards the end, like charge Grima into some of my guys just to hold up space and reveal himself. And then eventually, I think it was the last turn, he made like I would have been winning at this point, so he made a sort of last ditch effort to try kill one of the Khazad Guards I had with the objective with Saruman. I got another 2 Khazad Guards in, won the fight, and then just killed Saruman to the objective off him, which was a big point swing here.
Was it Stuart Collett?
Stuart Collett.
Stuart Callahan?
Yeah.
Right, Collett. Wasn't sure if it was Netlister you were playing.
One of the other things that's really cool about this tournament, with the fact that he's doing that heirloom scenario, and you touched on it, is like each objective is numbered 1 to 6, and you have to roll a dice, and you have to get the number that corresponds to the objective. But because of that, every single person at the tournament got a set of objective markers, so everyone's got a set of 6 numbered objective markers, which, like, just a nice thing if you turn up and you get a giveaway. And that was only part of it.
Shout
as well.
out Alan Liddell. What a guy. Shout out.
Event dice and a measuring stick and stuff like that as well. So that's an extra cool touch for the event.
Stuart was also lucky. The heirlooms have got the rule where if you roll a 1, you count as being transfixed. I think he had 2 turns in a row where Saruman ended up being transfixed, which obviously helped me with being able to just get Durin into combat without worrying about him being transfixed or having some spells flying at him. So yeah.
Is it transfixed, or is it you just can't move? Is it literally just can't cast or shoot or do anything?
You're transfixed.
Counts as being transfixed, so yeah, can't do anything. So,
just for my and other listeners that are perhaps not as up to date with the Khazad-Dûm list, do you still get is the Fight 5 something to do with Durin, or can you still get the Hearthguard upgrades?
So you can. You still pay the 2 points, I think it is. I didn't on this occasion because I think at low points levels it's not worth it.
What is the upgrade? Is it still
makes
them burly or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, 2 points to be burly, so you go to 14 points. But I think it's a tough sell for me ever, even at higher points values, just because in the new edition that if you roll that 6 to win the fight, you keep the 6. So the benefit of burly is less good than it used to be. And then the fact that they've gone up to 12 points, which is definitely worth it to be Fight 5, but having 14 point 1 wound infantry 1 attack, 1 wounded infantry.
What
Feels very
defense is it?
expensive.
D6?
D7.
So, and also sometimes the strength 4 I've found is just enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. So that was one game with your Khazad-Dundee, one game with
Yes.
the...
So I think every year he's had this format, I've been lucky enough to get one army right after the other, so I never had to play two at the same time. It's quite good, yeah.
Heirlooms, I mean, I'm not sure what you've had. This is, I guess your lists are fairly playing to all these scenarios fairly evenly, some extent. I mean, obviously you'd rather kite, but with this one might be tough with the Rangers if you had to get right in about it.
Yeah.
Not sure though how they were deployed, if it was all central or
Yeah,
scattered.
it was Maelstrom, so you've got the chance of being split up. So I think actually the next scenario you'll see, probably if I'd got the Rangers, might have been a different story because you have to really move early to get to the middle, or sorry, get to the objectives and stake a claim, which was the next scenario.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Look at that segue of Stoney. What a guy!
Nice.
Are you looking for a job?
I've already taken Dave's, so I'm not up for yours.
Oh. Let's not get into that.
Okay, now. Yeah, cool. So perfect segue. Game 3, you're playing somebody we all know, Finlay, at Stake a Claim. I was at this event and I already sort of forgot what Stake a Claim.
Is that because you were raised getting beat 12-0 from your memory? I can see you there on table 2.
Yeah. I lost a certain somebody we don't speak about. Yeah. That's taking me back. I do remember.
So this is the one where the
actually.
objectives are set up in almost like a diamond, I'd say, with one in the middle as well. Is that the best way to describe it?
It's like a cross. It's the same way as they're set up in Capture and Control as well.
And then this is the new thing where you like tally the score as the game goes on. So like, you get 2 points if you're the only person within 3 of the objective, and then 1 if you've got more models. So it's playing Finlay, who his 2 lists were the Eagles and Bjornins. He had his Eagles. Eagles left. I think he'd already played his 2 games with his Bjornins by this point. So we knew what he'd be using, and then he picked my Khazad-Dundee for this one, which I think is probably one of the first things that went for me. I think the Rangers are marked good because you want to stand back and shoot rather than moving forward. But yeah, so early on, obviously, scenario, he's got 12-inch flyers, so he can get on 4 of the 5 objectives like right away and rack up 8 points, whereas I can only really get 2 for the back one.
Yeah, you get a big dunt, don't you? It's sort of strange. It's like you think when they get there so quick. I can't remember, but it's like that happened with me actually. It was sort of like before you know it, you're like down 8-0 on points, and you're like, what is going on here?
And I played against Mustard Isengard, and they get the free heroic march turn 1. So again, he's marching up turn 1, and then he's got Grimo back on your home objective as well. Yeah. So you can find that some armies and Eagles, especially being one of them, can really rack up a big lead in this.
So yeah, for this one, I knew I had to just get in onto the objective as quickly as possible. So I think I marched turn 1 with my king, got as much of a force in the sort of middle 3 objectives. Sort of conceded that I'm probably never going to get to his back objective unless things are going really, really well or towards the end. The first 2 or 3 turns, I think he killed about 12 dwarfs. He was just doing what Eagles do, basically. And then I think 12 dwarfs, including my dwarf king, went down as well. But because another rule for the Khazad-Dundee army we've not really spoke about is the fact that dwarf warriors and rangers, kings, and captains all get dominant too. So it meant that on the side objectives, if I had 2 dwarfs, I was controlling the objectives just because you could only really have 1 eagle out there because they're only dominant 2, I think they are, maybe dominant 3.
Dominant 3 for a great eagle, which is
what would have been
used.
And then I kept Durin sort of just in the centre, just as a threat for the eagles. So eventually, the numbers that I had, I was able to obviously pass courage test with the high courage and the warhorn from Durin, plus the bodyguard from the Khazads, and eventually killed an eagle with Durin. and then it just snowballed. As soon as he's lost one model, I got into another eagle, killed it. He was unlucky in that he had Gwahir fighting a Khazad-Guard. I think he called a combat, and the pseudo banner sort of ruled into a 6, and he only got a 5, so he had to spend another point of might to get that off. But yeah, as soon as this is what I found with eagles, as soon as you kill one of them and you can just snowball it, eventually they've not really got enough to come back. Especially, like I said, I was mentioning the fact that you can put Durin in to just a normal eagle, especially if you've got priority and just know he's going to be reasonably safe, because they can't range you. They're only strength 6, so they're still wounding you on 6s. You're not going to cop a couple of wounds, yeah.
Something that when I'm listening to these podcasts and battle reports and things, that I'm on the listening side, I'm sitting there thinking it annoys me that terrain doesn't get spoke about a lot, because obviously we're speaking about like matchups, this, that, and other thing. But am I right in saying, because did he have an issue with landing his eagles?
Yeah,
because the way the terrain was, you were able to sort of position.
The terrain was like a sort of Mordor terrain with like ruins, and basically we put the objectives down, and the objective in my side was like in like the corner of our ruins, but there was like a campfire in front of it. So I then deployed, and it wasn't until after I'd deployed that he looked and said like, "Oh, do you think I can fit an eagle in there?" And we checked, and basically if I'd put a guy in the corner, there was no way you could actually get him. So I said, like, I'm happy just to ask Liddell, what does he want to rule it? Like, I'm happy to play either way. I think Liddell came up at that point and said that he thought the terrain had been slightly moved, but because I deployed, Finlay was like, "We'll just leave it as long as we know from the get go that I'm not going to." Basically, if I put a guy back there, you're not going to be able to get it. But then it definitely plays a part, because that's what the disadvantages was using a model with a big base, is you can't fit into all these smaller places.
Exactly, yeah.
I think you could probably, I don't know if it's in your capabilities, Casper, maybe chuck a picture up of that bit of terrain. But no, they're kind of based on almost like Oscillate Ruin type things, but all done Mordor. Yeah. It's JMac for JMac's Armies Arda. I think he's got a video up on his channel. I'm actually building the terrain that Liddell had got done. It was commissioned and done specifically to be Table 1 at the event, which was like another kind of cool addition as well. Always nice to see people expanding their terrain collections, and the terrain in general at Common Ground's pretty good, but
I was just say,
it was like a nice new addition to the event.
In general, the terrain for this tournament I thought was very good.
Yeah, it was class, and I think it's not that that's in sense of you being rulesy or that. I think that part of taking these monster lists, navigating the terrain and using the terrain to your advantage when you're on the sort of disadvantaged side is perfectly what a good player should be doing. So I mean, it's, and he's handled it the right way. He discussed it. It wasn't like a gotcha sort of thing. The only reason why I mentioned is because I was the table next to you. My fortunes weren't quite as good as yours.
But yeah, one thing that was good about it, I suppose, is at the end, it didn't make a difference really. He never tried to go for it, and like I said, things sort of snowballed once I'd killed one eagle, and I was then killing another one, and then eventually killed Gwahir, I think, one turn after the other. So it didn't make too much difference.
You just find that can be the case for an Eagle army, is that they run out of steam, you lose a couple of priorities in a row, and then you get in charged, your 2 attacks, you're not rolling that 6, and then once a couple of them die, it can be so easy just to snowball and kind of wipe them out almost.
So the pseudo banner thing, if you get a reroll if you have less, so is it if you had like 2, or like you'd have to have 3, and you wouldn't get a reroll pretty much. Is that
so if your opponent throws more dice, so if you've got an eagle,
right? Okay.
If you have a Khazad-Guard that charges an eagle, so the eagle's on 2 dice, the Khazad-Guard's on 1, you would get to reroll that dice, Khazad-Guard's dice, if you wanted.
And it's battle white.
Battle white. One of the things that's quite nice about that is that, like, if an eagle, say, charges into a dwarf warrior with a shield, the dwarf warrior with the shields only rolls 2 dice to the eagle's free. You can reroll 1 off your dice for the army bonus, and if you're in range of banner, you can reroll the other dice because of the banner as well. So you could potentially be throwing 4 dice to try and get that 6 if the eagle's rolling a 5.
I almost in this game got to reroll all 3 of Durin's dice because Finlay charged me with Guahir, so he had 4 dice. I always have 3 dice from Durin, so I get the reroll from the Army Bourdas, the reroll because I had a banner in range, and the reroll from Durin's axe. But Finlay figured that out and then just put Guahir into all Durin and a Dwarf Warrior, so I only got the 2 rerolls. So yeah.
That's so sick. It's so good. Is there ever like a time then where, I mean, the thing is, banner VPs are so important, but I guess at lower points you could start thinking about dropping the banner because you already have like a pseudo banner. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not really a dwarf specialist to know if that's even consideration, really.
I think that what you do is you drop down to 1 banner.
Yeah.
In like the 500, 550 points range, I would have previously always taken 2 because you're a single
King's
battle
champion
line
or
with no
whatever.
spears. So you kind of wanted the double banner, but it does now mean you can afford to just go 1. I would never drop the banner completely unless you knew the missions didn't have any banner VPs in them.
I think I'm just salty because I use a lot of halls of friends who don't get banners, so I'm trying to get some emotional support here.
Got a wee bit of Numenor as well, didn't you? They're another one that's lost the banner.
Yeah. I'm going to be campaigning throughout the course of this podcast to allow to make TOs give optional banners to the charitable armies such as Halls and Numenor, and I think that's
To be fair, I think
change.
Liddell would probably be very on board with that. I'm sure he said that to me in the past.
I think he definitely. Was it maybe EU Unexpected Event at the start of the year? I think he had that in play.
He was allowing like spears on bows and all sorts. He was going rogue, man. You can have whatever you want.
Yeah, I think Jamie Moore as well at Green Hollow allowed banners. I think it was only the banners, but that was a thing that you could take banners in any factions if they could.
I don't think it's a segue for sure. We can talk about it in other detail. I don't think it's the worst idea, but I think the meta isn't really stale just now. But it's started to get quite stale, and that would maybe introduce other armies because they're not missing out on that. Then worth considering, but we'll talk about that another time, I think.
I'm sure we will.
Game 4 then, marching on. Now, you were playing a certain friend of ours who was full of bravado, and in the nicest possible way. I was praying that you won, Stoney. I didn't.
Yeah.
Like anyone in the room wanted Dobie to win.
Well, I mean, it's the full of bravado comes from the fact he'd just beaten you game 3 and me game 2, and Triss game 1 as well. So he'd had a hell of a run.
Yeah, it was a some run. It was an absolute run. Yeah. I was dreading it, honestly, Stoney. I'm not going to lie. And with any spoilers, the game ended 11-14. I believe there's a slight asterisk to that as well, Stoney.
We realised afterwards, yeah. So I had killed Fog of War, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to just talk about your game? So you were using
so Rangers of Mirkwood
right?
against Fangorn. So I think Dobie had Treebeard, Beachbone, and then 2 Ents, I think it was. Mary and Pippin obviously as well.
Yeah.
So Fog of War is one of these ones where you know the Ent player's going to pick either Mary or Pippin to protect, because then you've got to go through Treebeard to get to them. And he probably knows that I'm going to pick the Beachbone Ent who's got no fate, and then just try and pincushion him to death, which is what happened. Although I think Dobie would admit this, that my shooting from my actual Rangers, I don't think I got 1-6 to wound to even have like a chance of getting like the 6x4. I had to spend all of Legolas's might to get the wounds through, and then maybe one of Tariel's as well, to kill him before we got into combat. But that's where the asterisk comes. We noted that down as 5 points, but you only get 3, I think, for killing them not in combat. Yeah,
it has to be
in combat to get the 5.
But
to be fair, I didn't know that either.
It wouldn't have changed the result, or wouldn't have given me less VPs scored for the tiebreaker. So
no, you were sailing away.
So this one just obviously lined up. Getting ready to shoot. One thing I think I said to Dobie afterwards, I think a slight mistake was he marched with Treebeard the first turn, which I think was fine, just to get a bit extra movement. But he done it the second turn and the third turn, where I don't think he needed to. So that was a big plus for me because obviously then Treebeard had no might. It was quite obvious what terrain piece he was going for because that's the way he came. So it was just a case once I'd shot my target to death, I just needed to make sure I kept Tally alive. He did get one of our fate off with a throw stone, maybe on like the second or third turn. So that he got a couple of VPs for that.
Or was that
No,
from
it was one of the
Pippin?
ends. If it was Mary and Pippin, that would have been a good story. But yeah, and yeah, then he just waded into the Rangers, just let them die as I walked a couple of them up the board to get my terrain piece. Yeah, that wasn't any more exciting than that. Unfortunately, it was just Rangers getting absolutely smashed to pieces by trees. I did say to him that he probably could have barred to just try and get through my heroes and kept the game going a bit longer. He did get into, as I was running Legolas and Tari, he did catch me with one of the Ents, but I had a point of might left, so I was able to strike up just to make sure I won the combat. I think I actually struck up and then shielded with both of them via the Army special rules, just to make sure that I got a 6, so that Tariel or Legolas wasn't going to die, because that was obviously preserving the game. The VPs for me, yeah.
So you did get his target.
He never got the fate offer, so I think he gets, is it a point you get for that? I can't remember. So
yeah,
he broke me.
Sure.
I think it's you get less points
like that. Must have
for
been
your
that
protect if you've used fate.
So we'd both kept our protects alive, but I'd used fate, so got a few less points for that. I'd killed his target, my target. He hadn't killed his, and then I had my terrain piece, and he did, but didn't have 2 models in it. So you need 2 models to get the maximum.
Do you need 2 models, or does dominant count for that?
I'm not sure. We did look it up. I had a model in the train anyway, so you couldn't get the 5 because you have to be the only. You have to have no enemy models.
Yeah, because I think dominant does.
So I still. Yeah.
I believe it does.
I still had a ranger in the terrain piece because, like I said, it was obvious which one he was going for. So yeah, and that's all
easy
she wrote.
Yeah, I mean it's tight, right?
It was
14.
very
That's
tight.
what would have been 12.
Yeah.
12, 11 is what
Yeah.
it should have been then, right?
Yeah.
Oof, that's a sore one. But your take, Phil?
And I mean, it's important that you
Yeah.
didn't draw in the end because if we look at the final stands as well, Edward Watt, he was also on 4 wins, I believe, and then it just come down to victory points scored between you.
Oh, jeez. David Reed just missing out in the podiums in 4.
Aye, we take it. Lost to Dobie and Heirlooms in a mirror match with the Eagles, which it's a little bit of a toss up. I think I made a couple of mistakes, to be fair, but
It's so funny. I've heard all sides of these games actually from Dobie, so
I think I
it's good
definitely
hearing
can
the
play
actual-
it better, to be fair, but I think he won 2 of the move-offs, and that can make all the difference against the Eagles.
That's it, really, innit? Mirror matchups with that high of a skew. So that brung your story to your probably your most proud win, right? Because I mean, you've had the doubles win, which was class. But I mean, certainly getting the first singles one in a 4-game event. Last Alliance is a 90-point GBHL, but if you haven't been, if any listeners are looking to go to a 1-day event, it's probably, well, I think it's one of the best I've been to because the quality of games is great. It feels like if there was such a thing as like a 90-point, 95-point GBHL event, it could be in that region. It's definitely a tough event. I mean, it was 30 players this year, right?
Yeah, like highest attended ones for a 90 as well in Scotland.
Yeah. And it was the ArdaCon. What was the official term?
The
The
ArdaCon System
ArdaCon
Open
qualifier or something
so you
like
get,
that, wasn't it?
the ArdaCon System Opens, they kind of have one of them in each country, and they're generally like some of the more prestigious events for that country, or bigger, certainly well-attended events, and the person that wins it will get a discounted ticket and a place in the ArdaCon Masters, which is coming up in a few weeks' time, I think.
Couple of weeks.
Which
yeah.
sadly I'm not able to take it. I've got one of my friends is getting married, so unfortunately I'm pre-booked. But obviously my loss is David Reed's gain because it's been passed down the chain and he'll be taking it. So.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky enough at being in fourth place there that obviously Andy had prior commitments, and neither Ed or Doug, who will finish above me as well, were able to take the tickets, so I'm carrying that mantle, and I've got sorted out all my accommodation and stuff for ArdaCon, so looking forward to that in a few weeks. I'm sure we'll cover that when the time comes, but yeah, it'd be a cool opportunity to play against some sort of top players for around the world in the Masters event before the main singles.
So yeah, ArdaCon's only ever been once. It's quite a commitment. It seems to have grown arms and legs in terms of commitment, in terms of days and things you have to go to get the full amount, but it is outstanding event. Like it really is. I've never had an experience. We should all go, all the Scottish guys. We should definitely get like an actual group to go. Yeah, because you need to you really need that, if I'm being honest. There's like doubles events, it's straight into singles events, and we should definitely do it one year. It's hard to tie in with Nations Cup, WTC, things like that. So, awesome first win, Stoney. I mean, you're playing it off as cool, calm and collected, but
I was very chuffed. The event before this as well, I finished second. The event that I went to before this, sorry. So yeah, it was good to get a first place and get, as I said, got a first place before, but it was in a doubles event. So good to get one that's just all me. In this case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're on quite the run as well. Like, I mean, I'm not going to spoil maybe other events that we'll be covering, but I don't think it's going to be the last time you're featuring on the podiums this year. So I know you got a nice, I see your trophy in the background there as well, in that trophy cabinet behind you.
Trophy shelf. Might need to get a bigger one soon if I keep going the way I'm going. But no, got the stuff from this year and the last year up there, some most sportings, etc. as well. So no, yeah.
Most sporting, eh? Well, look at that. What a flex. Not only wins events, but gets most sporting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because my when I first met you, Stoney, you were the Balrog man for a while, and you kind of now the Balrog's actually
better, yeah.
Meta.
So no, that's definitely helped. I was talking about this the other night actually. I can't remember who with, but because someone had asked me like, "Oh, what do you think's changed that you've suddenly went on like a decent run?" I think the new edition. I think even though writing lists is a bit more restrictive, I think it's just a bit easier because you've got less choice with some of the lists. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like sort of the 40k thing as well, where it's like everything's been really pigeonholed to what you can take, and it just changes, I guess. But yeah.
I think some of the things is having an understanding of playing lists as well, though. Like, I mean, you're saying the Balrog there, like, the Balrog's got better, but you've had a good understanding of using the Balrog in previous editions when that list was, like, fine. Yeah. But I think it's better now, but you've got that experience, whereas someone picking it up wouldn't have that. And, like, again, Khazad-Dûm's the same. Like, I know you're, like myself, you've been in the trenches there when everybody was saying Khazad-Dûm was like a rubbish army. Now they've got much better, but I feel like having the experience of playing them in the previous editions really helps, and I think you can see that.
No, definitely. I think, one of the things is, not chopping and changing too much is good. Once you get used to using something, it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to, you can do more stuff like on instinct or almost autopilot without having to think about it, which means you're not as mentally taxed when it comes to sort of the back end of an event.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I think that we're running on a bit here, to be honest, but it's been great having you on, and you make a good point there, because I think that we naturally chop, what list you taking, what you doing, but actually, from my experience, if you have the sort of the steel to do it, if you just keep using the same stuff over and over and over again, you become way better with it rather than putting down your losses to your list, really. And I think we're all sort of a wee bit guilty of doing that, but Yeah,
Nah.
I think like familiarity is like a wee bit undervalued. You know, I think the skill with the Armies undervalued a bit as well.
Yeah, I just think getting the reps in is important. But no, it's great. It's great to see someone, see a new person winning a singles event, and just also seeing that progression. I think is really really cool. So no, well done, Andy. It's great. I'm sure, as I said, we'll see you again, winning events and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, it's great to get that first singles win. And congrats.
Thanks very much, guys.
Yes. Thanks for being our first guest on Witch King podcast, and probably see you very soon.
Hopefully,
I'm
guys.
sure we will.
Thanks for having me on.
That was our chat with Andrew Stone, how he got his second GBHL win, which is very cool. I'm sure we'll see him on the podcast again soon. Moving on, I wanted to speak a little bit about, so as time of recording just now, at the start of August, the big event round the corner we mentioned in episode 0 was ArdaCon. I want to do a little bit of preview on that if we can, because we actually have Dave Reed attending. That I believe that is on is it the 15th? When is it you're going up, Dave, or down?
So it's the 13th, is Wednesday the 13th, I think, is the day I am travelling down. That's the day it all kicks off. Let me just double check that that's correct. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm travelling down on Wednesday the 13th, and I'm not playing in the event on the 13th, but on the 13th there is a Masters qualifier. So we'd mentioned that Last Alliance was the Scottish System Open, so you can qualify for the ArdaCon Masters. Almost a lot of other countries around the world have these other System Open events, and the winners, or in my case, like the person that the ticket has dropped down to, kind of play in the Masters. But on the Wednesday, there is a last chance qualifier where the top sort of X amount of players, maybe it's the top 3 or 4 players that play in that, can qualify for the Masters, which is cool. The Masters itself takes place on the Thursday and the Friday, along with there's doubles tournaments as well going on at the same time. I think there are a couple of other Scottish guys, Michael Henry and Rory Campbell. They're going down. They're playing in the doubles, they were saying. And Chris Morfitt is also going down. He's playing in the one-day doubles, I think, with one of his mates down south. And then once the Masters is finished, the Masters is 6 games, and yeah, just your sort of standard 6 game, 700-point event. And it's obviously quite a small field, but in theory, all top players from around the world, which is really cool. I played in it last year, and it was really fun. Nice to get the chance to play against some different people for around the world. But then once the Masters is done, there is the singles, or the ArdaCon SPG World Championship, which is a singles tournament. Again, same format, 700 points, 6 games, match play guide, and it runs Saturday, Sunday. And yeah, it's, as I say, both of the events are 700 points. I have taken Khazad-Dundee for both, which is probably not a massive surprise, although I have taken slightly different lists. That 777-point list that we looked at earlier from Dundee, I basically, for the Masters, I've pretty much just dropped Turin out of the list and dropped down to Double King, Captain, and I think it actually ended up with 44 models. My thinking on that was just that sometimes the sort of top players won't take as many big heroes and stuff, and just having a lot more troops might be better. And then I've done the opposite in the singles, where I've kept Durin in but dropped some troops. So I dropped down to 36 models, but I still have my big hitter. So it'll be interesting to see how those two events, those two different lists fare. But really looking forward to ArdaCon. It does have a special place in my heart, really, as in sort of my big win back in 2017, and I'll hope to try and maybe not replicate it, but try and do as good as I can do. Last year, managed to finish, I guess, 17 for someone last year out 120 odd players or that. So can do that again. I'd be really happy, and hopefully just get the chance to play a bunch of people for different countries and catch up with some people I don't see at a lot of events. It's obviously used to travel down south a lot. Don't do that so much now. So last year I found it just such a really good social experience, getting to meet, catch back up with guys that I've not seen in a few years, and yeah, super looking forward to that. So,
have you got your Witch King T-shirt in the mail? Is that on the way? Represent?
That might need to be for a future ArdaCon or a future travel, but
oh no, I could
be
have sent you
interested to see if anybody's listened to it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will have. Yeah, ArdaCon. I mean, how do you preview ArdaCon? It's such a big event. It's like the Australians come over, the Americans come over. We do a full episode really on it. I just wanted to hopefully wish Dave luck because he's a previous winner, got all chance in the world to win it again. I am mega jealous that you're going. I need to go another year. I mean, to be fair, I went once and it was by far, should I say, the best event. Obviously, apart from Scouring in Stirling.
Hey.
But nah, Liddell, you're my bad books. You can come third. On that, Liddell, actually, I need you to give us an update. We're going to move on quickly here.
Do you?
Yeah, Top Scott update.
After
I got a few comments about we didn't mention the standings last time because we were really just kind of introducing all the categories and stuff.
But we're getting to that.
Right, I would like you two, if you could, run through the standings.
Well, quickly, we have Finlay in first place on 37 points. We have David Reid on 31 points. And Andrew Stone in third place on 31 points. David's fifth score is a 5 and Andrew Stone's a 3. Hence why they are second and third. Dropping down.
Give us a top 5.
A top 5. Really? I've just scrolled all the way past that. Oh, son of a bitch.
I mean, you're going to have to scroll down to 30. Where's J-Mac sitting? Because J-Mac was chinning me for not telling.
I'm giving you the top 6 then. The fourth place is Christopher Murphy on 28 points. Stuart Collette in 5th on 28 points. Nice. And John McCorkadale on 28 points in 6th place. But John has no 5th score, but the other two above him do, so that's why they're above him. Top painter we've got sitting in first place is Alex Bourdas, no surprise there, with 6 points. Second place with Stuart Callahan on 2 points. I mean, technically, if it was going off the top Scott, Andrew Kerr's in second place and Stuart Callahan's in third place, both of which have 2 points. I don't really go too anal on that because it doesn't really matter at this point.
I hope you don't. No.
I mean, I'm looking to get a trophy for second place this year, as long as I can afford it. So, top sporting, we have 2 people on 2 points. We have Rory Savage in first place because he's on the top Scott board, and then Rudy Campbell, who got his second one at Last Alliance actually. And then we've got a lot of people on 1 point. So it's still definitely plenty to play for. There, the top sporting.
So just remember to be super sound to all your opponents if you aren't already.
Especially if your name's down.
That's why, because you might win something.
Yeah.
I mean, you would win something at the event anyway.
Or just
after that,
hand out like dice and biscuits to your opponents. Like that always helps.
Start doing what Stoff was doing last year, dusting down people's seats and all the rest of it.
Don't be giving Stoff a caramel Freddo though, because he doesn't like them. That's something totally different to him. After that, we're into top theme, which I tried to start about halfway through the year last year. Just like awarding the people that bring actually thematic armies. Of course, I started at the start of this year to make it an actual thing, but obviously the way things have went with the books now, everything's fucking thematic. So it really just comes down to something that's maybe thematic towards the event, something that they've converted, anything at all. But I mean, this is just all down to the TO. So I'll ask the TO their favourite army. That hence why we picked Andrew Kerr earlier, because that's who I picked for Last Alliance, because he was using Last Alliance and a stupid amount of points heroes. So we've got Jamie Moore in first place on 2 points. We've got Sam Robertson in second place on 2 points, and we've got Daniel Cruikshanks in third place on 2 points. Then we're into Stats Saturdays. Sitting in first place, we have Michael Whiting on 8 points. Ian McGregor won it last year on those exact points, so I mean he's already got that. Second place we've got Andrew Kerr on 5. Third place David Reid, our one and only, on 4 points. Obviously plenty of weeks of the year to catch up. And then finally we're into top trivia Tuesdays in first place. David Reed is not happy with just one trophy. He's going for about 3. Second place, Fraser Gillespie has got 4, and third place, Christopher Murphy has 3.
I do think Finley's going to be very hard to catch, so we'll see how the rest of the year
the big
turns out.
things, the sort of the rankings in top Scot for your gaming score. I think Finlay is very, very, very likely to get caught now, considering
Andy
he's
Stone's already got a 10. So
3 9s and a 10.
if they can somehow pay off the right TOs at Scouring and get in the top 3 without Finlay, then that'll help.
It is actually impossible for me to catch Finlay now, because the only other event in the year that awards 10 points is Scouring, which I will be TOing. So I have 36 as my highest attainable points, and he's on 37. So I'm going to try and hang on to that second place trophy.
Slyly just ask Andy Stone if he wants to TO that event this year instead of you.
You could just hand it off to Stoff to doing his own.
Nah, I enjoy TOing too much. But no, it'll be interesting to see how it goes throughout the year.
Yeah, Finley's likely got it wrapped, which is nice to see, to be fair, because he's been after coming second or third last year.
Yep, he's went third, second, and then this, in theory, will be his first.
Yeah, so he will have gotten all the podium positions, and he has put in work this year, like with the.
I need to improve on my podium to try and get my third place, but I don't see it happening. It's pretty much from now on. I'll just start from second place, because I don't see first changing in a while.
We can give him a wee round of applause for 10 seconds at the beginning of every standings review.
I think
first place, Finlay Ivan. Was that what you called him earlier?
Like Finlay Ivan.
Staniforth. I can't remember his full name, but yeah, it's always fun to say.
I'm pretty sure you called him Ivan or Iron or something.
Probably did that. Okay, back to a bit of normality here. We're going to tie this up shortly. I just wanted to do a kind of close this off, a little bit of a hobby update that came out of the GBHL guys over the weekend, I think it was, where Dave, do you want to take us up here? There was a post that was put up, really interesting to me, that there was a decision made that the community is going to be regularly keeping up to date with the legacy rules and FAQs going forward. Can you add a bit of context?
Yeah, no, I can do. So I think the belief, certainly from based on other games, is that Games Workshop, when they offer these legacy rules, is that they give us a PDF, and to be fair, the PDFs were a lot more in depth and actually pretty cool than a lot of us probably thought. A lot of nice new legions, a lot of cool profiles in there, but that they don't maintain them. So when Games Workshop do their they do 2 FAQs a year for the game, one in February and one in August, but they won't take any questions or answer any questions on the legacy PDFs. That's certainly the belief based on other games. So with that being the case, there probably are a few things in them where people have questions about, and the decision was made amongst the GBHL committee that we thought it would be a good thing to take in questions about the legacy models, and we as a committee take in the questions, we review the questions. It is only ones that are considered FAQs, so there's nothing that goes in there that's like an errata. If people were asking for, say, maybe someone thought a particular model was underpointed and they wanted to see us add points to it, that's not something we would do. But anything that's questions about the things that are unclear, basically, and those, we take them in, we sort of refine the questions as a committee and put up 2 or 3 suggested answers, and then a poll goes up on the GBHL page. I think it was like a sort of like a doc of some sort that you can go in and you can answer the questions, like the sort of things people use for sometimes feedback surveys and that. I think it's now closed, and as of time of recording, the first FAQ has been. The first FAQ PDF has been created, and I think that Harry Parkhill is going to share that in the GBHL tonight, or certainly within the next couple of days. So probably by the time you're listening to this, it will have already been posted. So keep an eye on the GBHL Facebook page and website for that. The other thing about it is that like it's optional for TOs, but we'd expect most TOs to opt into using it. So majority of GBHL events that you go to, this will be in use unless a TO has explicitly said that they are not using it, which I'd be very surprised if many TOs decided not to use it, because it's a useful community resource. So
It'll
I'd
pretty
be
much be the
surprised
GW events.
Yes, it may well be the GW events where they're not in use there, and you're kind of maybe at the... We're saying that legacy models aren't even allowed at GW events, so so we don't have to worry about that. And that's another thing as well. Like, there's no legacy, we're not enforcing people to use legacy. Some events will not allow them, although again, majority will. But if events are allowing legacy to be in use, it's a good resource for the TOs because it gives you some answers. And they're all voted on by the community, both those on the GBHL and the international community as well, because I think we thought as a committee it'd be nice to extend the use of this to the international communities out there if they want to. Like, again, absolutely no, we're not forcing that on them, but if they want to use it, it's the answers have all been voted on by a really wide player base. So yeah, it should just clear some things up, and I think it's a cool thing to do. But if you've got any questions that aren't covered by the first one, you can submit further questions on the GBHL website, and we'll be keeping this up to date I don't exactly know how often we're going to do new versions of it, but I'd imagine it's going to be every month or so. We'll post some more questions up with another vote, and people can vote on them, and yeah, just clear some stuff up.
So just to clarify then, it is an FAQ, it's not... what would be, is there plans then if Games Workshop, so we're going to assume that the legacy models are available for the rest of this edition, right? Next edition,
Yes.
Is it being discussed? Would the community look to kind of support these models still? Because I mean, that's probably what people would want.
I think that's far down the line.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, typically editions of SBG tend to last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a long, certainly nothing that we would be deciding as a committee, because, well, who knows how many of us will even still be on the committee by that time.
You'll be there.
I mean, there's every chance I'll be there. I've been there since the start. But no, it's nothing to do with that. I can get, like, just as a little bit of rundown on the type of things people had asked. Things like how many followers can a Great Beast of Gorgoroth include in its warband? Things like for the Grand Army South previously couldn't, it could include things like Easterlands, but Easterland troops could only be led by Eastern heroes. Haradrim troops can only be led by Haradrim heroes. Now it can include canned, but it doesn't say that canned can only be led by canned heroes. So you would think that's probably how it should be ruled, but it's not very clear. So these are the sort of questions that people have been asking, and yeah, the answers are all in the PDF that we'll be publishing. So
cool.
Yeah.
We'll get that linked below then. But like I say, the GBHL, I think it's on Facebook, it's just the Great British Hobbit League. Great page for staying up to date with things. Really cool the community's doing that. I just thought it'd be worth picking up on that before we signed off. Any closing thoughts? I think this is a fairly long episode. Hopefully good. Any closing thoughts, guys?
No, I think so. I mean, we covered 3 events in this episode, and a fairly lengthy interview. So I think that going forward, we ideally try and spread the events out a little bit more. We've been trying to play catch up as we mentioned, and but we know the Line of Turin, which just gone recently, we'll be covering that in the next episode that we're doing, and as well as obviously updates from ArdaCon, and probably there's what was it, Ross Wilson is running another event at the arena, which is War is Upon Us. It's a 1,000-point one. It's the same weekend as ArdaCon, so I can't make that one myself, but that's back up at the arena, and I think it still has tickets available too, so hopefully we'll probably cover that. I dare say might even have one of the winners, might be one of, well, not me, but maybe one of the hosts. I don't know, we'll see.
We'll not pay for that. Points. You'll be telling us how you won ArdaCon.
Ideally.
Chaos and Arda, do they still do that?
They do still do Chaos and Arda. Yeah, I can try and win that.
Yeah, you just try hard.
Try and win something.
Try and win something, and then just say
GBHL 80, so it counts. You get points for it.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
I can like what colour's the GBHL 80 dice? Is it blue?
They are blue.
Yeah.
The GBHL 80 dice is blue.
I feel like I'm going to try hard at a GBHL 80 just to get one of the dice.
I've got one.
Yeah. Then I've got 3 of the thing.
Got 2.
Yeah. On that note, I think, guys, we'll tie this up. Next time, I guess, we'll be covering more events. Hopefully, an ArdaCon winner, like we say, but we'll kind of just see how we get on. Hopefully, we get Finlay on for an interview, actually, is the plan, because he's been farming the event. So perhaps do that. The Walker brothers, again, reach out to me, please. We can maybe catch up as well. But anyway, thanks for listening if you stayed this far, and we'll catch you next time.
Good night.
See ya.
Cheers, folks.
See ya.